That's it. The blue bar has come up to say we're live. Good evening, everybody. Everybody coming into the chat room. On the panel so far today, we have the beer guy, Rich, from the UK. We have Patricia from the UK. We have Lev Kung Fu from the UK. And we have, what is it? David, son of, how do you say your name?
David of the Giaramita. It's actually a little bit wrong. It doesn't matter, but David of the Giaramita estate, or David of the family Giaramita, David of the clan Giaramita, but not David Giaramita together. Normally it would be David of the house of Giaramita, much like, you know, the Windsor, the house of Rothschild, the house of, that's how they separate it, you see. So whichever way, Disco Dave, anything, but officially, yeah.
And a couple of more people might be joining the panel. Well, we'll be joining the panel as the evening goes on. There's a couple of subjects we can talk about straight away. Do both of these. David's just told us that he's won something at court, which I'll get him to explain. But we were just talking about this Rayner report, which is in the UK. David, probably the best person to just talk about it. David, explain what they're trying to do in the UK.
Okay, then I wasn't expecting that. I was just setting up something. But from what I've gathered, I've got some links that I'll post once I get the YouTube page loaded up. It's a government incentive for management of the NHS trust assets. So when they want to raise revenue and collateral for new, value money for new machines, they will sell parts of the assets that are listed in this report in the NHS trusts estate management, and they will then auction, sell off, privatize. I don't know. I'm not fully up to speed because it's something that happened last year that's now been put into effect now. It didn't just happen overnight, but we will divulge this. But for every pound the NHS trust sells in assets, the government incentive is they will contribute £2, towards that. So that'll make the £3. I'll get some stuff loaded up so we've got some more insight. But anybody else that wants to comment can comment first. Let me load up.
Yeah, there's a part of it they're changing, isn't it? They're setting up a property development in the NHS, selling their land to private developers to build houses. It's disgusting. So basically, they're selling off the NHS, basically, aren't they?
Yeah, it's in the Rayner report. I've got the document. It's in the Facebook trust on SPLs, but I will upload it to the .com. This is something that would make we will highlight this. I am available to get this on in the next few days and put it on the front page. I'll update the .com homepage, and this is a typical story that we'd like to put out there to the masses to see, undoctored, uncensored, unfiltered, just raw data as it comes straight from the Whitehall or whatever it is, government itself.
Yeah, but it's really sort of strange that none of us really know about this. Just somebody sends you a link and shows you what's happening, and you think, it's not like put everywhere, so everybody's talking about this, and they're sort of doing it the back way, aren't they, as per usual? I think it's horrible. Pardon? So what did you say?
Saying to Lev or beer guy, have you got anything to say?
Well, Richard doesn't like it. He asked me to send him as much as I could about it, but I just got sent a link with a little video on it. What do you think about it, Richard? Just asking.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely criminal, isn't it? It's private corporations, and they've also put a clause in. They've made it some part of law or act or something. If the people that are wanting to buy parts of the NHS, if the NHS do not give an open bidding for the thing, they can be held liable, and then the NHS can be sued by these third parties.
I know our laws are a little bit different here, and I know that many countries don't have this thing called the national health. But in the UK, we have something that's supposed to be where we can go and be treated for free. Everybody pays for it in their taxes. It's probably a thing that they could never fully fund because it's just so big and so many people are going every day. But it's something that was sort of given to us. And now it seems that they're selling it all off behind our backs. Really? That's what it is? We'll have no say on it, will we?
We will as beneficiaries, but not as public trustees. We won't. No, not within the incorrect capacity and without a voice. And yes, I've got from the channel an actual video. How this got broken to me is quite beautiful. Actually, it's a nasty, horrible subject. But that link there that's gone into the feed is a video on Indiglo channel, and I got sent as you can imagine, quite a lot of random and serious messages come through Facebook and emails, and this one just said, David, please watch. It's containing information about the NHS. The trustees are running amok again. It looks like the beginning of the end, and that's it. I won't say who it's from, a trusted friend, brother, and I watched it, and I was like, oh dear, it really is. So I've downloaded it because it's a public information. It's a private video. I haven't got it off the original guy that did the interview, but it's up on the channel, as long as it will stay up there to share for you guys to share out. And it's also gone into the Facebook domain as well. So the Rayner report is, I'm going to put the links in now for the rest of the guys in the chat room to have a link off, and then they can actually be informed and comment about it from what they see. But I've got some links here for you now. It's very dark, isn't it? But when you don't follow everything, so we all believe that it's being handled correctly and it's being done right, but when we take a closer look, we find that it perhaps isn't.
Well, I was just saying to you before we went on air, MPs now here in the UK, you can't go to them for anything. You can't go to them over education, over health, over money, nothing. They either send you to the council or send you to an ombudsman. So I can't see the point in having an MP. What are they there for? I thought MPs were there to help the people. They're not. They're just there. They obviously just like their privileges, don't they?
Yes, they do that. You see the expenses that they put in. Yeah, they do. I've just got the links now. Forgive me, sister. I'm just putting the links into the chat room on YouTube now. So they've got the link to the video, and they've got links to different articles to read about the review, and the actual .gov one I think is there as well. Yeah, nhs.gov.uk publication straight from the actual original source. So there's about 5 PDFs on there, hundreds of pages long each.
It's disgusting, isn't it, what they're doing? And when you know what you know, even I don't know everything. You know much more about the law than me and how to get, well, not how to get around it, but how to be in it. It's disgusting. Everything is just disgusting.
I remember when
they could do this.
You'd never be able to do something to somebody's rights. Like somebody's personal rights would treat like gold in a way. And if you'd gone to treat you like a hypochondriac or something like that years ago, that people would be like, they'd be emotionally, they wouldn't accept it. Like, no, that's disgusting for someone to treat you like that and so. But nowadays it seems quite acceptable. So in this sense, they're taking us NHS away, then that's a massive right of ours and stuff like that, and it's everywhere. This thing about his rights and stuff like. I'm trying to think of other examples, but like work situations, the job centre, for example, working for agencies and 0 hour contracts. People's rights are just getting stripped away from them everywhere. That's what it looks like to me, kind of thing. Like moulding for the new world order in a way.
Right. They're not so much rights, they're classed as privileges and entitlements and benefits and liberties. So like with the Statue of Liberty, Lev, it's an insult to a wise man, to a sovereign, to someone that's not classed as a slave or a citizen or employee, someone who's self-governing. We'll call it that, self-governing. We are governed. We don't say we're not governed. Self-governing. We don't rely on a nanny state. We don't rely on indoctrination. We question everything. We back everything up. Those that don't, unfortunately, the misled ones, the ones that don't, myself up until 10 years ago, believing and trusting and following, well, it's there are ways you can. Yeah, you're right. They have been slipped away, but I'm just hearing George Carlin and his little bit where he says it's the club, and the club they beat you around the head with. We're not in that club. The lawyers, the doctors, the solicitors, the institutions, the societies are in these clubs, and we don't have rights. We do, but we need to know who we are. Like Santos has said. Steve McRae, Winston Shrout, Carl Lentz, loads of them. They've all said it's about knowing. And when you stop doing protests and you stop doing let me think now, other such things like protests, petitions and the like, and you start commanding and instructing and compelling, and when folk, the fiduciaries or the trustees have already been in a trust relationship, but they've been having it their way, and when we see it, we want it our way, and we find our voice, and we effectively become, why don't you act your age and become a man? When we start being men, they go, we can't hear you. And what they want from us is for us to prove the substance over the form, which is, you've got to stand there and quote certain things, which sounds daft, because in a simple civil lawful, common law, natural law society, we don't need all this complication. But if we find ourselves in a stronghold situation, of which is an invisible amount of laws and rules, of which when you're 18 you're subject to, and you've got to be publicly liable for. You're not trained about it at school. They don't tell you about courts at school. They bring a policeman to you and they say, this is a policeman and these are drugs, don't get to near him and don't touch these, and that's it. So if you go outside and you meet drugs, you're going to get to a policeman and it's going to be bad. That's that's no education. That's just a fear tactic. You see how it is all geared up. It's geared up for their way of educating us, which isn't an education. We'd call it a schooling, which is an indoctrination. When you repeat something and you're not given a chance to be creative and put your own input in, and perhaps change a theory, a thesis, and actually contribute to something and make a bit of technology better in some way, and publicize that and get it out into the public realm. No, it's none of that, is it? So you watch Jeremy Kyle, you watch EastEnders, you watch all the soaps, and what do? They argue, they bitch, they fight, they curse, they shag about, they drink, they take drugs. And after you've watched that for 10, 15 years of your life, do you know what your subconscious does? It does that. It does what you've watched. Yeah. We are all at blame to some extent for the content of our brains, and that's the cherished part. This is the temple here, and your temple is sacred, and you need to go to your temple, in our opinion, in the sovereign, self-governing opinion, and you need to know who's in control, what voices are speaking, when they're speaking, why they're speaking, and when your words come out, you need to command them words and know each and every one, mean it, and know the implied definition. And when you speak in a different language, you need to be careful. And when you're filling out a form that's got boxes and certain bits in, and corruptive text and dogma and glossa and Latin should I say, corruption in it, you need to be extra careful again when you're in the legal realm. So unfortunately, when you're 18, you've just become a legal operative who's severely handicapped in the realm of the legal construct. But nevertheless, we're all having a go, and some of us are doing well, and some of us are failing miserably, aren't we? Like this. It's what you're on about. We have no power. We see something's wrong. We'd like to do something, but our words fall on deaf ears.
Yeah, well, we don't realise the powers that we've given away, do we?
Yeah,
unfortunately.
they're not taken. It's by deception. So if you think about it, if you arrange a deal with somebody and it's non-disclosed, and in that deal it's an advantage to you, and whilst that deal is all very well and good, the guy that, or the innocent that you've hoodwinked finds out about this deal, then in essence, when they find out about it, then they're not going to be happy, and it's going to break down, isn't it? And that's where we're at. We found out we've been in a deal. We've been put in something. We've taken off the mask or the cloak, the persona, and now we're like, what do we do now? Everybody's like, where do we go? But before we go and do that, we all need to know what we're in, how we've been put in it, how to recognize it, and the many forms of it, because it is invisible and it does attack you through deceptive ways, and it's just everybody's in such a rush and so desperate, and some folk are after greed and fortune as well. So it's very hard to talk to everybody on a level, because everybody's got different reasons and on different levels.
I know we're not quite there yet, and my eldest son, they know that something's really wrong. Even they were talking to me today. They've been watching programs, and it was like, we need to get rid of the money. We need to get rid of money. Money's just evil. The whole thing, the whole way it's set up, we don't need money. We need to do things differently. And I was like, wow. Because obviously, you know, it's just everything is set up wrong. But we are voting for them, aren't we? We are voting for these people one way or another. It doesn't matter whether you put that party in or that party in. We're still voting for them. I'm not voting again for them, ever. They don't have my permission.
I want to turn me back on me. So,
Pardon?
No more voting. No more voting for me. I've never really voted anyway. It's just that.
Well, I'm going to vote, but I'm going to put a no vote in. So I'm still voting, but I'm not voting for the parties. I'm just wondering whether, if enough of us did that, they wouldn't be able to get in. They'd have to do something about it. If everybody was voting, but not for a part, they don't want the parties in. I don't know. David didn't really like that idea, but I can't see anything other, because that's what we're in. If we voted but made it a no vote, then if there was millions of those, then it would show no confidence.
Yeah, well, to vote, you need to submit, and when you submit, we know what the implied effects are of that. So, you have a voice, sister, and we can hear your voice now. So you would use your voice, and you wouldn't need an opinion poll, or a poll. If you look at the word and where the word derives from, poll, you know, and when you go to vote and cast a vote, and who you're voting for. Andy Sovereign Smith come out with some choice information about this. I forget the electorate. The electorate is a land or something. No, you're not actually voting for the man itself, and it's more deeper and darker than what you actually would conceive from the outset. It's not just about putting a tick on a box to get there. You know, you need to fill out to get to be able to vote. For instance, you need to be on a little thing called the electoral roll. So every year, you get a document posted out to every public and private residence, and it's got the form that says you must fill this out legally, blah, 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 who lives here, child, adult, you know, the electoral roll that comes out every year. We all get one. That's what you need to be on, and then you can vote. If you're not on that and you're not registered, the persons in the house aren't registered, the legal ones, you know, the Mr., Mrs. and all that, then you won't be able to cast your vote at the polling station. So if you are in that situation, which I know many are, because they won't submit their rights, because when you submit an application or you fill in a form or it's an appeal, we see it as if you appeal something, you must be first guilty to appeal, because that's how appeal works. So when you look at the definition and the meaning of it's really bad, and I'm not insulting anybody, but the language that we perceive to be is not the language and how we perceive to be it. So when you are submitting and appealing, to appeal a parking charge notification or a penalty charge notification, well, to be guilty, a judge or a jury needs to find you guilty under the rule of law of England. That's the rule of law. I'll quote the Practical Lawful Dissent, David Robinson's voice going through my head. You know what I mean? I hear what he says, and he's right. The rule of law of England is common law by consent, and then you've got criminal and civil on top of that for your corporate and your criminal activity. So if we don't consent and we haven't contracted, then we are, this is what we argue, you see. In these words, when somebody like a private corporation says you drove down a bus lane and for that you must pay this fine, you naughty person, and you go, oh, how do you know it was me driving and this, that, the other? So you want to communicate with them, but if you use their paperwork and you send it off and you sign it, then you've consented using their paperwork, and they see that as that you're saying you're guilty, and will you listen to the excuse? But you don't see it as that. You see it as you're filling in a form because you're not guilty, and you want to tell them you're not guilty. But because you've used their form and complied and put your whatever it's called, equitable asset on there and endorsed it, you've contracted and you've created joinder to the legal person by doing all of that. And when you don't know that, see what I mean? Some of this will go over heads, but when you don't know the language and the technique and the alleged authority and how to deal and separate, but at first you need to recognize. So that's where we'll step in and say there has to be, some extent, a lot of excellent teaching on this, but it's got that mixed up with constitutional and Magna Carta and stuff from America, and then actual common law, and then a little bit of trust and equity. Nobody knows actually what law belongs to anything anymore. It's all getting mixed up, and you know, you can go and vote. I'm not saying not to vote, and you can go and fill out an electoral register, but unless you know the documentation and the layout of it and what that means, and if it's a legal document, if it's a, are you obliged to fill that out? Who is obliged to fill that out? The what? The occupier of the residence. Well, the legal occupier means militant combatant. So why would anybody write to you and say, "Hey, pal, will you fill that out?" But they're calling you a militant combatant by addressing it to the legal occupier when there's nobody on the electoral roll, and you move into a new property and you are new to it, they will not have an addressee. So what they do, they will put, and you will have all had one of these, to the legal occupier. Now go and have a look at those words and definitions, legal and occupier. Military occupy territories, don't they? You've heard it, you've seen it on TV. General Storm in Norman, 1991, Iraq, after Saddam Hussein's ass, and he was occupying. There was an occupation, and England, United Kingdom was part of that. So I've digressed massively, but I think I've proven my point.
I think you answered it. Thanks very much. Thank you for that. It's just, if only we knew the truth. Most people don't even care, do they? They just get a little piece of paper. Oh, you know, they've been coming round to my door loads. Last night, a Liberal one came round, and I had to tell her, first of all, our council was a load of crap. And then I said, I'm not voting for any of them anymore. And I said, anyway, there's a bigger lie than that, because we don't even live on a ball. I couldn't help myself. This woman couldn't wait to get away. I just had to tell the truth. So I'm not going to see her again, am I? We're not on a ball, we're on a flat plane. And yeah, it's all a load of rubbish. And I should be saying that to anybody that comes to my door. They're coming around like with droves. I think they know something's wrong, to be honest. People are just fed up. I went to take my car in somewhere yesterday, and they were so unhappy in this place. It was a Halfords garage. I didn't even know Halfords had garages, and the AA use them because they now do this thing with insurance, which you can pay, and then you can get your car mended. And this guy said everybody had left. There was one technician to do all the jobs in Newbury, and even the manager was handing his job in. I said, we're living in an open air prison, and he said to me, yeah, you're right. This is all. He was so depressed, this man. He said it is. This is an open air prison. I agree with you. Feel that there's something so wrong. We can all feel it, can't we? Can you feel it? Because I can. This is something so wrong.
Yeah.
All wrong.
You can see it.
I just wish others would wake up.
You when you go out on a Saturday, if you need to nip out now, it's ridiculous how much traffic there is. Everybody going shopping, or when you go on them complexes, you have a KFC, a Burger King, sometimes a Toys R Us, but definitely an electronics, PC World or Curry's, a TK Maxx. You have like a generic establishment now that's like there by default. And the British way of life, like when I hear the far right movement talk about, and I won't mention any movements, but you know who the far right movements are, and they'll go, these foreigners, they're taking our jobs, and they're ruining our British way of life. And I sit down and think, so what is the British way of life? What is the British, and it's like, yeah, we are evolving into a media controlled. We don't have the ability. We're fast losing our abilities, our ability to reference, to competently speak, to competently do anything, to fix anything ourselves, or to this what you're doing. And the guys that you've got are brilliant, because the brains and the intelligences and the contrasting things are what we need. But it's fast dying out. It really is.
Hence, people like you coming along now to help us through this horrible system we've been put in.
Yeah, well,
so thank you very much.
We help each other. Yeah, I'm a facilitator. I can facilitate, and I can download what's in here to a .com website and put out the techniques and strategies that work and we see fit. But at the end of the day, nobody has to do it. It's always down when you bump into the officer dressed in black for whatever reason, and they're wanting information and stuff from you. How you give that is entirely up to you. We don't tell you how to do it. All we say is, are you aware of the liabilities and the pitfalls that you will be faced if you don't? That's why the rich have the attorneys, and the elite have briefs and stuff. They don't often deal, you know, when the law wants to speak to a CEO of, we'll say, a major financial chain, you know, someone who's got billions, then they won't often get direct. They'll go through something, won't they? They all have a chain of how to do it. Like we say, when somebody comes knocking at your door and you're in a private, non-commercial dwelling, yes, then you would say that you don't just open the door when it's knocked. We advertise to put a sign up and to tell all of your canvassers and suppliers that if ever they want, because you're duty bound to inform them, and the council, the 151 officer, the chief of police in your local area, anybody ever wants to come to the residence, they are strictly, you know, visitors will be strictly by appointment, and you need prior notice, a minimum of 24 hours. You're entitled to do that, but if you don't know you can do it, then you don't do it, do you? So these are the things, that these abilities that we're losing, that we need to regenerate. And I don't know it all. The 3,000 members in the Facebook trust do, and the YouTube, you know, the Brotherhood of Man that's connected via the YouTube connections that we've got here and accounts, they know it. And all we do is collect, sift out the rubbish, and then go, look at all that. What do you think of that? And everyone takes it again, and we just keep refining it until we're left with the finished article, which is, you know, a product of 20, 30 years of the freedom movement itself. Many have come before us that have done amazing, groundbreaking work, and many have fallen victim to traps, and they've fallen, and we've now not fallen because they have fallen. We in fact walk over, you know, that landmine or trap, because there are a lot of explosive areas in this realm, aren't there?
Yeah, and don't forget, there's going to be these terms and conditions on there. Most people don't read those, and that's everything they're not responsible for. And when you look at it, they're not really responsible for anything. They're always telling you what they're not responsible for. So it's all a bit pig poo, isn't it? But one good thing, there has been a good thing lately. You've won something, haven't you?
Not me, one of the beneficiaries of the trust, but I was there to hold his hand, so to speak, but not hold Mackenzie friend. Yeah, so there was I got to be careful about the data that I divulge, because it isn't mine to divulge, but I'm privy to you know, tell you what has happened with regards to the movement we're in, and how we're doing that. So he had a magistrate's appearance and attendance to sort out for a claim made by a traffic officer with a Road Traffic Management Act infraction. There was a ticket issued for that infraction, and it was argued and never ever agreed to, or any, like I said, any documents were filled in that were supplied from the issuing authority, which will have been the traffic officer and the local police force to the borough that this alleged incident occurred in. So the authority was one traffic officer issuing a ticket, pardon me, to a driver. He was in a vehicle that was commercial. He was driving in a commercial capacity. Well, was he? That's the question, because that's what the officer assumed. He's a private man who has a driver, and his driver is displayed on a plastic ID card with an all capital name. So that's the separation there, and it's got a title before the name, and he doesn't want to claim that title. That title is Mr., you know, and what the beneficiary of the trust name is. And that was issued, and no claim, no contract, no consent. It's a civil matter, bottom line, so it's not criminal, so it's no big deal. But when a traffic officer may believe that you have jumped a red light or gone through a red light or caused some kind of, you know, infraction to do, or when if you're commercing and you are committing commerce with a driver, you know, and you see a red light, you need to make every effort to stop for that red light. But if you're in a heavily laden vehicle, nevertheless, and you're an experienced driver, and you suddenly realize after a corner there's temporary traffic lights that aren't set far enough forward in order for you to brake, now the red, they are allowed to use their discretion depending on the load, the camber of the road, the speed, the condition, the temperature. A lot of things go into these driving commercially for safety, and also for traveling to keep you and your family safe. We all think about this as we are about our way on the highways. So, you know, this was argued to the point of You get us now. We're not easily won over, and we know who we are, and we know when you make a claim, there has to be evidence. There was no video footage. There was no camera footage. There was no camera on the temporary traffic lights. There was no witness for the officer sat in the passenger seat. There was one officer and one ticket to say in a court of law that allegedly this beneficiary with a driver had infracted on the Traffic Act and not gone and stopped at the mandatory stipulated red light. You know, the instruction is to stop at red lights. He believed, the traffic officer, he'd seen the van in his statement of truth and events go through a red light, which is why then that officer proceeded to go through a red light to apprehend the beneficiary of ours and issued a ticket. So we're at the trial now, the trial stage, and I saw the chance to go and get some experience, and I've been chirping on since November 15 about certain things and court procedures and legal fictions and straw man and joinder and legalese and dogma and glosser and all of the other stuff that's been chucked in the mix. We got it all. Trust me, we got it all. And we went down, and I said to the beneficiary, this is reliant on the civil procedure rules being adhered to and the outlay of evidence, namely the officer's evidence against your evidence. I said, and we know quite a lot of the law now. We believe we do, and the civil, especially, not so much the criminal, but the civil area, and the statutory guidelines, you know, and the civil procedure guidelines from the green books. So we went down and we had a little dance, and it is dangerous, and it is not advised for anybody to ever go to a court unless you know what you're doing. It's a domain of danger. It's a domain of deceit. It's a domain of a foreign language. It looks like English. It writes like English. It sounds like English, but it's in fact legalese. So you're deceived there straight away. If you do use legalese in your own defense, then get ready, because that will like get you into a world of contractual pain. And if you're going to use unified commercial codes, it's my dyslexia there, unified UCC, then you better be careful with using them, because there's thousands of them and they are very complicated. So we keep it simple, and we operate as a private man with a legal person, and the beneficiary attended the magistrates as a private man with a driver and kept that driver separate to the private man, and introduced me as the Mackenzie friend to go down and ensure the rule of law. I went in with 2 green books that I borrowed at about £1.50 retail value. So the 3 magistrates at the back saw the books that we had. We were very polite. We didn't follow their commands. We said that we will do, but we will do it because because we've been asked, not because we are submitting rights. We reserved all rights, we waived all benefits and privileges, and we played hardball with them. Comments or anything so far?
If the case would have been lost, could you have demanded the right to subrogation?
Yes, you've got the privilege. You're privy to seeing. You might know a bit about this because you're in our Facebook trust, aren't you, Rich? So, indeed, yeah, the only bond is to do with the bonds there. Yeah, the ones that are open, and bearing in mind you're in a magistrate, so we know about the dissolving of the corporation, and that it runs with no securities affixed to it. The only securities would be the ones that are on the bonded certification, which is your person's birth certificate. I got to be careful here what I'm saying. Yeah, kudos.
Cool.
So basically, we need you with us all the time to deal with anything.
Now, if you let me put this and let me do it, because everybody in this freedom, lawful rebellion, Magna Carta, everything like that, always wants something. And I got around that by getting guys to donate. And I bought a load of T-shirts myself. And I said, if you donate, I'll send you a T-shirt with this on. And we did it like that. But what you just said there is we want to give, and I say we, myself and the admins that are appointed in SPLs on Facebook and that are going to be trustees and agents on the pro.com. Well, how can I put it like nutshell? As a donating beneficiary, when you donate the £12 that we asked for the management of the site for the year, that's the 25p a week to become a beneficiary of the site of splspro.com, you would get access to all our free courses. The concept which we are creating specifically for the man's benefit. So we work for the man. The courses, they're going to be focused initially on the basics and the fundamental aspects. There'll be a core focus in our digital. It's a digital university. It's not something that's affiliated with anybody. So there'll be a core focus in that. There's a common unity there, and you'll be able to, you'll be enabled and you'll be empowered, fluent within the legal construct and ways to recognize into the stuff that they should teach you at school. You know what they don't teach you about money, about checkbooks, about debtor creditor, about anything like that, about, they teach you that there is money and they teach you that you need to save money, but that's as far as it goes, I'm afraid. There's no economical side. And when you find out about the Gold Insolvency Act and what intrinsic value is and what debtor creditor is and why it says on every banknote, I promise to pay the bearer on demand, and it is an actual promissory note, which means it is a promise to pay, which means it isn't credit. It isn't money, it's credit or cash, and that's different to money, and that's different again to offsetting privately. So we've got a lot. These, we're going to give stuff away for free. We've got to, because I'm on a sacred contract, and this is the good thing about me, that most say to me they can see the sincerity, they can see the information. They can see the successes and where we're at here. So we will give a lot of this away for free because it's our duty to do so. And we don't. I don't want a curse coming on me. I yield the floor.
Yeah, you yield the floor. Thank you for that, Dojo Times. Yeah, we've got a few. What is it? What the flat? That's another one instead of swear words. But yeah, it just sounds so complicated to deal with it.
So you'll get bite-sized videos. There'll be bite-sized videos. So all the basic courses. I know I'm selling stuff, but I'm selling myself. People said I've just left a 26 grand a year job to do this, so I do need to do a bit of element of proving myself and showing you, our core directive. So the basic courses will be a one-day course, and they'll all be for free, and they will teach you how to interact with an officer, how to interact with a constable, and you'll go away with a certificate and a pass mark, a percentage, and you'll have the printout of what you've done and what's been said, so you can always refer back to it. We will give you a pack that contains a notice of removal of implied rights of access, a police borderline rule, a common law jurisdiction, law thingy applies to your house, and maybe some kind of other such thing. That we've got a few ideas. Those will be given when you pass the course for free again at our expense on the trust, and you put them near your door and on the reverse of your door. So when you get that harassment, you've got all that relevant information bang there, so you can just start to film stuff. We've got a checklist for you to go through. The same with when an officer approaches the private property or pleasure craft and knocks on the window and says either one of these: is this your vehicle? Are you the driver? Those are the two verbatim questions that they are trained to ask you. Now, they're doing that to identify you, because as you get stopped, there is the identity. Then there's a possible charge. Then they see the steps again. They come in. So it's just, instead of walking on the street, you are now in your traveling. You're being in a mode of conveyance, or you may be committing commerce. But either way, you'll be traveling or commercing, and we will teach you. Even if I, God forbid it, Creator forbid it, have a road traffic accident and take out another sovereign, and they are ruled dead. I kill somebody whilst I'm traveling in my property, then I would say that David, the private man, is going to answer for that. But I would then use David, the private man, to identify. I would never go to court and say, I am David, surname, date of birth, and identify to the fictional. I would use my private lowercase. So you may think that it's technical, but it actually isn't. You've been doing it yourselves quite a while. You've all been using elements of this trust law. Like, if anybody's ever asked you, Karen, will you look after this? And you've said, yeah, you've just become a trustee. It's not your property. You've agreed to look after it. You're not going to sell it. You're not going to abuse it. You're not going to do anything other than what they've said, whether it be an animal, a pet, a home. And then when they come back, or when the allotted agreement time is up, you will fulfill your trustee duty, and you will return said property or keys or animal or whatever and hand it back and then the title goes back, back to the settlor, the owner. The item that's being looked after is the res, and if it's like a living being or an animal, it would be a beneficiary. It's the property, it's their property, but that property is also living, so it's benefiting from being looked after by you, the trustee. So it sounds more complicated than what it is. It's only when you deal with the enforcement side of it and the judiciary and the fiduciary capacity of the judiciary and that's when it's complicated. But you can use short, concise sentences and get effective things done. And you can also use this new technology that's hundreds and thousands of years old. It's referenced in the Bible, to be fair, the Old Testament. You can use this without going to court, without any special coloured pens, without any legal knowledge. You can all use private trust, and you are doing right now. It's just that we will now show you how that is, in our opinion, how that actually correlates practically into something you can take tangibly away and work with,
Whoa. Just to say, Astral just joined us. Hi, Astral.
Yes, brother.
He's just muted his microphone. Astral. You're muted, darling. Astral, that's it.
Shabba.
We can't hear.
Easy, brother.
Astral, we can't hear you. Remember, we did this yesterday. It's your headphones.
Speaking loud enough. Something wrong with my... I don't know.
Can't hear you, Astral. Turn him up. Just turning him up on the panel. We can't hear you.
Right, while Astro, if I may, while Astro does that, can I continue with I've got halfway through the magistrate
yeah, sure.
So, while brother's doing that, so we then, whilst we were in the magistrates, and I've introduced who I am, Tom. To be fair, the beneficiary did all of that, and he handled it really well. So once the claimant, had said what was going on to the magistrates, we didn't bow to any of the instructions. You never follow instructions. You say that you will do as required, but you will not waive any rights. You will waive all benefits, privileges, and you will reserve all rights, and you continue on. It is a bit weird, but the officer that was issuing of the ticket, the traffic officer, got asked to take the stand. The prosecution down here is like the layout on reverse, aren't it? The three magistrates, then you have the clerks to the justices, then across was me and the beneficiary in the public gallery. The prosecution was sat here adjacent to the clerk in front of the three magistrates. Then this way, public gallery, the traffic officer was present to be called as a witness and to give evidence, cross-examination. He did so. The prosecution then went and outlaid the basic bones of the claim, and we halted the proceedings and said that on the charge sheet they'd clearly put the wrong date and time, so the charges were null and void, and the claimant has made a mistake which has resulted in the case. It has no standing in law because it's a false claim, it's misleading, and there is no case to answer, and of which we pointed out there was a gross error and it has no standing. So we was very gracious to them from the offset. We had the upper hand, and we said we are going to continue on. The beneficiary said he's got that much confidence that he's not guilty and that he's going to continue on with this. He's got this far. He'd already represented himself twice before, so he wanted to see. He said, Dave, even if we don't win, it's going to be an excellent learning curve. And I fist bumped him. I went, brother, you're the type of man that I like. So he said it was a gamble. He knew it was a risk. And he says, we're still doing it. I know we can get this thrown out right now here on the basic principles and the procedure rules. And we let them get the officer on the stand and confirm the date and the time before we even proceeded, because it was all null and void. So that was a shambolic administration error, which we could have won it there and then. But it was too easy. Do you know what I mean? We'd gone there for a game and we was like, wow. We could so we let them correct it via the officer taking the stand, making a statement under his oath, in front of the clerk and the magistrates, and he confirmed the time and date, and the beneficiary confirmed. So we moved on very graciously, I might add. And long story short, the officer had finished being prosecuted cross-examined by the prosecutor. My beneficiary, the trust beneficiary, the accused, the defendant, for his driver, then got a chance to cross-examine the officer, yeah. And he did so very, very gracefully, very professionally, under my guidance and his own intuition and his own professionalism. So it's 50-50. I'm not claiming any or all of this at all. It was very much a team effort. And the officer stepped down. Then the prosecution asked for the defendant, the driver, to step forward. And as my man, the beneficiary, was representing the driver, but not the driver, you see. So there's a difference for one. He had to take the stand as the authorised representative and the layman for the driver, the agent in office, in essence, separation. They didn't like that, but we recorded it all. We've got it there. We did it. Can be proven. And then they cross-examined. He gave evidence to support the claims made, and we pointed out that we had 2 hours prior to the hearing, the trial, drafted up a statement of truth in an affidavit form, which is submissible to a court as legal evidence, as admissible evidence, and it's a recognised document. It doesn't have to be printed, can be written quickly by hand, but we'd had the time to use some of my templates and get that body of words and stuff down in the capacity of man, private, driver, public, get it like that. So he said in the cross-examination, I have my body of words, my statement of truth, and that is my truth, my plain facts of what's happened. This man here has got his plain truth and facts of what's happened. They're both down to interpretation. He said, but I am the most qualified man in this room to talk about driving standards, driving techniques. In the officer, he had written a statement and said in the court pack what his issues were. And then when my beneficiary at the time come to cross-examine the accused, the driver's representative, I know it's hard to follow, but this is why we're here to help. He contradicted what he'd previously said, and we pointed out that he'd made contradictory statements whilst he was under oath of giving evidence, and because he'd already made a claim of which we can't be sure about, and he got the date and the time wrong, we said all of his evidence, we quoted CPR rules, and we said all of this is reasonable doubt for inadmissible. You're clearly not on the ball, you're not sure about much, you can't prove much, you've got things wrong, you've contradicted yourself under cross-examination. We actually did really well, and the jury had to go out, deliberate. It was 5-5. They shut at 5 p.m. So he was expecting a quick little decision, and they weren't going to think about it. The usher came in, and the justice to the clerk said, we're going down, we need a such and such for legal advice, please send them to this room. The clerk and the magistrates went out. The usher got the legal advice to go and meet the magistrates in the chambers in the private. They came out at 5:25. They took a half an hour. They really did chat in there. They were having a good old chinwag, I'm telling you, for that. Half-hour overtime, which is very rare in itself. So that respect to them for spending the time, and actually whether or not they were spending the time to try and get this beneficiary nailed, or whether they were just like really confused, I'm not sure, but they spent the time regardless, and it was to 5:25. They came back out. They sat down. We were a bit sweaty now. The officer had stayed to hear the verdict. And they said, I'm not going to bore you with what they said, but they introduced and explained they'd taken legal advice, and it was a very, very hard decision. But it wasn't a hard decision, because in courts, facts and witnesses and statements are the keys of which we use. And if there are witnesses and facts, then that's very easy. If there aren't witnesses and facts, then we use the rule of law to apply the process. And that's where we're very weak as a nation, as a brotherhood. So luckily we went in to play the game. We knew what we was on with. We took deep breaths, and the magistrates came back and said that the prosecution hadn't, with with all concise clarity, demonstrated that there was an infraction, or that this incident did actually happen. There was areas of which there was reasonable doubt that had been formed, and there wasn't any corroborating evidence. There wasn't any cameras on the representative of the driver, the private man, the beneficiary's commercial unit wasn't fitted with any traffic monitoring or recording equipment. The traffic officer wasn't. In law, if you create bottom line, and this is truth. If you can create with a magistrate, a jury in a court, reasonable doubt against the claimant who's brought the claim against you, there can only be one verdict, and that is no charges, case dismissed, charges dismissed, no case to answer. Because if reasonable doubt is present, then they haven't fulfilled one of the maxims, which is they or he, because it's old fashioned, he who makes the claim is got the burden of proof. So you make a claim, you've got to come with the evidence to back it up. So they can't back that claim up. So the law comes in to save you and says, okay, then no case, no standing, finished, done. You know, it's quickly done. So if you can get to that, you're very lucky. So we would advocate that you don't go to court. You look at stuff in the private and you get in touch with somebody that you trust, or, you know, our website, our Facebook, because it's free. We don't even ask for any money. If you come to the Facebook, you can get a reasonable amount and a remedy in there 9 times out of 10. So you go there, you get educated, you learn it, you stand on it. We've got everything you need, and you can do it yourself in the private via notices as the agent in office, and separating, because it's all about the public liability. So the beneficiary can prove that. We have got it on film. We didn't tell them we was filming. They can't prove we filmed it. I might be telling you a fib now, but I promise you, we got it. I've got the evidence, and we've got them saying the verdict at the end on a separate short bit of video. So we did really well. It was a massive risk, but what we've learned, applied, and done has actually worked, because the traffic officer issued a ticket for a contravention of a red light, and it went to the final stages of the magistrates, and we walked out with case dismissed. So bum shanker, hey, bum shanker.
Hey,
well done.
I've got a word. Power to the people.
Just two brothers.
Power to the people.
Two brothers going to the, yeah.
And also thank you to you, because he wouldn't have been able to have got that far without you.
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you to me. Yeah, but when you thank me, you thank yourself, sister. And it's thank you to the master brain of Napoleon Hill. That without that, you know, without the consciousness and the little bits that come from everywhere else, you know, there's always input and variations and little snippets that we don't know it all. We can't. Nobody can know. Have you seen them books? How thick they are? You couldn't possibly. It's designed to have grey area. It's designed to have interpretation and areas of which there are leverage points, and there is also 2 tiers of law running parallel: the civil and the public, you know, and the civil criminal public area, you know, and then you've got the equity and trust in the private, and they run parallel, and you got to know how to use these, and that's a massive deficit if you don't know about them, and you don't know about the private, and you're always the general public. Then get ready to be treated like the general public, you know, and that's when the military side comes into it, and it's it's not good. It's not good at all.
Just because they've charged you with something or whatever doesn't mean that they've done everything correctly, does it?
Exactly, yeah. Because to be guilty under law, this is where we pick that up from other groups as well. Others are saying it's not just us. You know, you have to be charged and go before somebody with alleged authority, normally a jury of your peers, you know, in a grand jury or something like that, a jury, and high court, you know, common law court. Even if you could have a real common law court, then, you know, that won't be so much of a problem. That would be good, but they're not. They're admiralty, and they are businesses, and it's about finance and commerce. So where you think you're going to be doing an honourable thing, and it turns out it's just a game and it's a business. So it's not too clever, is it?
Yeah, it's a business just to make money, isn't it, out of the people?
Yeah, racket. Jury
It
service.
can make you feel totally useless and hopeless. And a lot of people don't want the hassle, do they? So I'll pay it because I just don't want the hassle.
Yeah, or you might think you know what you're doing, and you might make one mistake, or you might make an error or an omission, and then therefore you are the victim of your own demise, because you have to be very careful. Yeah, it is. You're right. It's a lot to learn. So we will advocate the bits that are easy initially to get you you know, sorted. You can go to the Facebook group or look at my Indiglo videos. It's all the information's there. It's just how you cognize it and how you learn it. I appreciate. I speak fast. I'm quite passionate, and I go across a lot of topics, and I do loosely thread it, and I'll return back. But for everyone else, their brainwave and how they operate their level. They need it structured and slow and a nice curve, which is fine, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world by any means. It just means that you're all being deceived and you're publicly liable for things that you shouldn't, necessarily be, because the system's given you instrumentation of which to afford the public liability and the claims too. The only wrongful thing is nobody's told us that we have estates, David, of the Giaramita estate. I haven't fully claimed that yet, but as I am the settlor and I am the beneficiary of the subsequent trust that I found out about, I'm looking at expressing and making express trustees out of the guys that are currently thinking they're beneficiaries. So we'll get there, sister. We'll get there. There's loads, there's loads to learn, but we do it as a team, and it is a massive collective. I can't stress that enough. We just enable it. We just see, those with our ears to ear and eyes to see. That's it. So it's a sacred contract, as I say.
The only time I've actually liked something where the law wasn't upheld really was that I ended up being a witness a few years ago. I don't like racism whatsoever. And I saw this person seriously attacking in the afternoon, this person in a car park, and they were so horrible. I thought there was a big fight. I called the police for that reason, because it was just this whole thing kicked off in a shopping centre. Anyway, the person got arrested. But guess what they did? They put all, the witnesses aren't allowed to talk to each other. They put, at the court date, they put all the witnesses in the same room and told us we weren't allowed to talk to each other. Of course we did, because we're all in a room together.
They know.
But luckily, that person did get what he deserved. The one that was racist, he got what he deserved. He got 2 counts against him in a public place and racism. So I'm really pleased about that for that one. And obviously being a witness, it was like, again, it was as if I was the guilty person. They treated me as if I was guilty. And he said to me, the judge said, "Is there anything else you'd like to add?" I was going to say, yeah, tell the prosecutor to leave me alone. She was horrible. But the person did get done, and I'm really pleased about it. That's the only time I was happy that the law worked in the right way. But again, they put all the witnesses in a room together, and that's against the law.
It's against
the witnesses
against the rules, it's against the law, the procedure rules, and so that would have brought the whole case come crashing down. But they did that, so you lot would speak, so you'd all get together and give. They wanted him to go down. They knew you'd speak about it, and they knew by doing that they could what is it called then? They could steer the event, the outcome of the verdict, couldn't they? It's in their favour by doing that.
They could have done, but they didn't. I mean, we didn't really talk that much. We did say hello to each other, and obviously you're a witness, where were you in it all? But we didn't really talk about the case at all, thank goodness. And the person got done for what they were due, and they really were. I can't talk about it now, and I can't even say the words. It was disgusting what happened that day. And I'm just so pleased that actually it did work in this other person's favour. But again, they broke the law by sticking us all in the same room together. We're supposed to be witness protection and everything. But luckily it worked.
Yeah, you could have all put a complaint in about that, and then it would have nullified the verdict, and then that guy would have then ended up having the case dropped and charges. It would have been acquitted because breach of procedures rules and stuff. So they got to be careful. It's like that. There was a case where some guy was given parole, wasn't he, recently, and then it got out in the news that the ladies that he'd sexually attacked didn't get told. He was coming out, Barry, somebody was it, and he was a taxi driver, and he did stuff to ladies, nasty stuff, and they said he could come out because he'd been a good boy now, he'd served his time. And then when they heard on the news, they went, what? Where's nobody told them, hey, we're letting him out, get ready, be wary, or anything like that. And when they got out to the media, there was what was his name? Yeah, Barry, someone. The high courts had to review it, and they says, what are you doing here? And they're like, well, the parole board says that he's ready to go. And they're like, do you know who this is? Do you know what he's done? Has anybody checked? And they're like, well, it's time. And they're like, no, he can't come back out. And it's like, they don't realize who they harm by these errors and mistakes as well. It's the trustees. I've posted about public trustees being abusive in their positions, and there's no redress for the public because, one, we don't know how to get redress in the correct capacity because, we haven't been taught. And two, these trustees are managing like up to three academies, public academies, schools, and they're paying themselves an extra 50 grand a year pay rise between the year 16 and 17. And like, I don't know, there's a few hundred of these trustees for these academies in the United Kingdom. So 35 of them have come back to this like off whatever it is, schools, off whatever, and they've written to them going, how can you please justify paying 50 grand extra to yourselves when the schools and the academies can't afford to buy equipment for the school? And they're like, well, I'm this and I'm that and this, that, the other, and I justify it. And they've looked at it, all the answers that have come back, and they're like, well, that's not really justifiable. No, there is no, the austerity is still on. And the teachers and the ones that do the work, that are trying to school these children, offspring of ours, they're doing a hard job there, and they've had a pay freeze. It's a bit political, like the police and the nurses and the ones that are doing it, because they're not robots. There are brothers and sisters and family, teachers, nurses, these guys are the resulting victims, and they're having pay freezes, price cuts, being, having their rights infringed on as an employee. And then these guys pay themselves more money, and they're having a free run. They're out of control, and there is no redress for the public. And they're looking into it. It's just disgusting, but there is redress for the public. And we can look at these trustees that are running amok, and the NHS is a trust, and that's been found to pay out a few £1 million recently. And the health secretary has come out publicly in January and apologised and said that the suicide and the deaths and whatever caused by the failings of the NHS and the trust. So we can reference this and show you that these are trusts and they are being mismanaged, and we need to get a hold of the trustees in the correct capacity and deal with this, as the settlors, or at least address the relationships and know and understand that petitions and protests don't always hold what they promise to do. They often get you to use your energy and for no outlay, for not much return. So when you understand who is operating and in what capacity, they are agents. You'll see a lot of agents in your life, and you'll come across a lot of trusts, and that's all we can say. But I'll shut up again because I've waffled on, Karen. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm really pleased that you managed to do that. So thank you for everybody. Thank you for everybody, because there needs to be more people like you.
I'll look at some comments.
Could I just ask you, in case people don't know who you are, can you just say that you've given up your job and everything to do something completely different? So could you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, I used to be a slave master for a major international NASDAQ, floated stock market corporation. It was a big old company. It had a corporate attitude. I was a number. I wasn't appreciated for my extra work, for my overtime, for my personal touch, for going the extra mile. I didn't kiss the proverbial ring, and I questioned authority there, and I pulled them up when they neglected health and safety, and I made sure that they adhered to it. And they didn't like me because I wasn't one of the gang, and I didn't go out with the works meetings and go and get up to no good and drinking and whatever. You know what works dues are like, typical ones. So that's the scene there. It was 26 grand a year, and it was permanent, and I was well established, and I was one of the best slave masters, team leader, first line manager in a warehouse. But because I'm responsible for a team, I'm still a slave. I had a boss. I was submitting, to go to work for the contracts and that. And after so many years now, I'm 40 in May, I thought, there is more to life, and there is a greater purpose. And I do like to talk, and I can talk. And everybody at this previous establishment, bless them, they heard a lot from me, but they learned a lot from me as well. So I never annoyed anybody, but if anybody ever wanted to talk, they knew where to go. And I had a lot, of folk come to me at different times for independent, information, not because I can't do that. And just workplace environment, it's got a few hundred on off peak and a few thousand in peak, employees and brothers and sisters, because that's what we are, managers and workers there. We're all a family. We just got different levels of authority in the workplace. So yeah, they all said you should do this for a living and you should go and talk, and you seem to know what you're doing. And some guys, brothers and sisters, even management to some extent, came and says, what do you know about this? What about this? And they go off, and they go and apply it or they research it, and a few months later they'll come back and go, all right, that Dave, all right, that, yeah. I'm like, really, what? Like, I forgot what, you know, I talked to a lot of folk, and they're like, oh, such and such, you remember? I'm like, oh, yes, it works. Yeah, we knew it would, but nice one. So then they go off and it starts there, and they go and tell someone else, and, you know, the information spreads. So I took the plunge. I had a chat with my good lady on Valentine's Day, and because we had some serious talks that day, you know, it's the day of serious talks, isn't it, if any? And it got brought up that I want to pursue the sacred contract and take the leap of faith, and it's based on a lot of intuition, and it's based on a lot of feedback, and it's based on a lot of results that we've had on Facebook. And it was admittedly a couple of weeks after the win at the magistrates, of which it was just like accelerated us all. We was like, boom, this is it now. This is, you know, we're on cloud 9, and we can coherently demonstrate why, and we've got good reason to be. So I think, to be honest, guys, the win there did like spearhead it a lot and make me press further on with it. And with I got consent from my partner, my settlor of the establishment here, we'll go for it and take, you know, we'll put the plunge. I think the consciousness is sending the you know, the help and the connections that we need, and this itself happened shortly after this connection, and amazing things are happening. So I'm thinking we're going to go from strength to strength, really.
Yeah, did you want to explain to people what you've actually done then?
So the next stage was moving off Facebook. It's a private group we have on there that's amassed about 3,000 beneficiaries. They are members of a Facebook group which we call a family. I don't know all of their individual names, but we do know a lot of their individual first names, and we treat them as a brother and sisterhood of equal value and you know, equal authority. None of us are above anybody else, and we just we congregate in there from time to time, and we compare and contrast, and we have a digital university of which is unbiased, it's uncensored, it's unfiltered, it's managed and monitored though by us, and we have a certain ethos and ethics in there, a way of doing things, and we have a structure, and we have an excellent team of admins, and we're having a time now of comparing what's gone off to where we're at, and that 3,000 strong family is the reason why I gave up my whatever contractual obligation, my servitude, because we then wanted to get off the platform and go to a private one. I don't know how many websites you guys have gone to. If you think about the various Lawful Rebellion and Freeman and UCC and like Harvey Dent type, when you splinter off on them YouTube channels and you write down them addresses and you go into America and Australia and Canada and New Zealand and London, England, you know, you go around and you have a look. I've seen them sites and they're really like fragmented and non-structured and quite bright and loud and, you know, all the things that attract you. But when you get there, there isn't much doing and there isn't much relevant to where you are. So for us, Anglo-Saxon inhabitants of the landmass known as England and the Corporation of the United Kingdom, we have great difficulty learning this because we have the universities and we have the academic institutions of which we've all been indoctrinated, unless you had the privilege of being homeschooled, but most of us didn't. And we didn't have the privilege of being private schooled. So that's back to that. So we've got these two, and that's 90% of us lot now watching and the family. So where'd you go to learn the truth? Well, you go to your friends, you go to the websites that I've mentioned that have previously been established, and you see what you can do. But there is not all of the information that you need on one website. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of good on about 50. And when you go there, you can see with the eyes and ears that you've awoken with which bits are relevant. Like when you go on a YouTube rant and you might I've spent probably 48 hours at a time once on YouTube, just in a room because I had a mission to do and I needed to learn. And when you go on those, you know, those missions, you find little bits. Not every video is what you want, but I've watched a lot of videos to the end, and right at the end, I've got something so tiny, but it's a tiny bit in that 2-hour video because it was only 10 minutes worth, but that 10 minutes is well worth watching for. And we've collected it all up, we've applied it, We've given it away for free. We've made templates. We've got a 400 PDF document database on Facebook now. We've set up a first website, sovereignparalegals.uk. So if you type in 3 W's and sovereignparalegals.uk, you'll go to our first website that we've got there to prove that the beneficiaries have bought and that they own. And then we've got the Facebook domain. The first website was done with GoDaddy, and not to disrespect GoDaddy, I need to be careful what I say because it's an established public business that I may affect the business of. So it doesn't do what I want it to do. It isn't WordPress compatible, and it isn't got the correct support of which I need to have a multi-user, few thousand people interface on a multi-platform level, videos, courses, documents, profiles, forums, messages. You get the idea. Something like Facebook, but different to Facebook, but like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of the platforms that you're currently using into one, but with the same layout and private. And when you get on there, you become a beneficiary of ours. So I'm the settlor of it all. I've got the title. I own it. I've created it. I assign trustees, give the website the associated bank account that's specific to that website, and put all that into a trust. So the property is secured. It resides in the private. It is out of my hands. It belongs to the trustees. Then we recruit beneficiaries, and all them beneficiaries come to the Facebook domain, and they can say hello, immerse themselves into the private world for the first time, probably for most, get immersed in that private world, take off the mask, take off the jacket. I'll reference the Experian advert. Meet Data Dan and Dan. Search YouTube for Experian adverts, Data Dan, and you will find their new, the part of their new campaign where Dan is in a house. He's the man, and he has a data self, and it shows you how the companies reference Data Dan to give the real man Dan an answer for a credit loan or a mortgage or stuff. So what they're saying is, here's your straw man, but they're not calling it a straw man, a fiction. And I'd love to see the results in the chat room in a minute, because we compare that to the video that's about 7 minutes long, also on YouTube. I can't name the creator, but they're excellent. It's a really good video that you need to watch called Meet Your Straw Man. It's done as a cartoon. It's about 7.5 minutes long. To watch Meet Your Straw Man, again, because I'm kind and I love you all, I'll put both of the links into what I'm talking about in this chat thread for the video, because once you've seen that, you correlate to who and what we're on about, and you can get into it. Do you know what I mean? You can actually understand. So the .com website is for those that want to actually become a settlor and actually immerse full-time professional into becoming a beneficiary, and talk about trust and the benefits of a trust, and maybe reside in the private. And then when you going out in the public world, with the general public, and you are out there, you would now be a private. You can do this without being a beneficiary of ours. It's just that when you come to us, we will give you the courses for free, the video section, and this isn't all for free, but you'll have a certain amount for free, which is enough to get you by and keep you safe, and be able to lock it down. After that, if you so choose, you can then move further up and invest time and effort, go through the courses, the training, look at the documents, go through everything, take the expert exam or test, as you like, get the certification, and then we'd look at making you either a trustee in a Facebook group for a few months, 6 months, a year, and then you could look at moving on again and coming back to the pro.com site, and then working as an agent in there, advising those beneficiaries on how to deal with enforcement, collections, PCNs, landlords, rent issues, credit, mortgages, debtor, creditor, trust, and all of this will be structured in a specific titled forum with assigned agents, expert in that field. And it's got a lot of potential, but it takes so much to say what I've just told you. To put that into a website isn't that easy, to be fair. It isn't at all. It's really hard, but we're getting there with a lot of help and support. I yield. Karen's asleep.
No, I'm not asleep. I'm here. It's just I'm trying to get Astral back on the Hangout.
Aha. Okay. Rich, did you hear that? Where's Lev? Anyone?
Yeah, Lev's there. Richard's there. He's making something, but he didn't tell us what he's making.
I can imagine.
He's making something in the background, which I think he's going to show us in a minute. But yeah, a big life changing for you. But do you feel better for making this change? Like now you've
Easy.
Oh,
there's Astral. Astral.
can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little bit low. I'm going to try and turn you up on the panel. Hang on.
Turn up the bass.
Yeah, keep talking.
Easy, brother.
Talk now, Astral.
All right, David, how's it going? I'm sorry, I
charge, bro.
haven't heard a bean of any word that's been spoken tonight. I've been having power issues and internet problems, and I think every time the wind blows around here, like something happens with digital signals. They disappear. What's going on? Every time the wind blows, you never find out when it's windy. Digital signals are, well, listen, people who believe in space, satellites in space have got perfect signals, and that signal that comes down to your antenna, not getting blown around by the fucking wind, is it? Is it? Oh, I'm sorry, but David, I'm all ears. I've just got in.
Well, just to recap, right, we talked about the Rayner report, which is how they're selling off the National Health Service, which none of us are very happy about. And also, David won a case in court. Well, he helped someone win a case in court. So much respect to him. And thank you, David. And from the chat room, who are also saying thank you. And much love back at you. He's a really lovely guy as well, David. And also David's just explaining a bit about what he's doing in his life, because obviously he's changed the whole of his life for us.
For man, yeah, for Woe Man, basically, yeah. Sorry, I'll just put Meaty Straw Man into the chat room, and I'm going to put that Experian one now so they can afterwards correlate to what I'm saying. And for some, it'll be a penny drop moment. There will be cha-chings when they watch the two. Trust me.
Yeah, but we don't really need. I'm sorry, I just don't think we need politicians anymore. I just don't think we need the things. They're not doing us any good, are they? They're just lying to us and using us.
Yes, indeed.
Well, look what they've told us. They've made us believe we live on a ball. When we don't, we live on a flat plane.
Yeah, and we vote for them. We put them in power after they've told us, you know, oh, we're going to do this. We'll do that. We promise to do this. We promise to do that. Nothing gets fulfilled. Of course, nothing gets fulfilled because they've got so little time to fulfill the, you know, they've got 4 years, haven't they? And if it's, you know, I mean, it's like, okay, all right, your turn. No, our turn. Your turn. Oh, okay, you have another goal then. You know, it's like that, isn't it? I mean, come on, people. Bloody hell, it's...
Jesus Jones says on the chat room that we need politicians to throw our rotten veg out.
That's a good idea. I'll pay for that.
Stocks. Get them in the stocks.
Yeah, when you find out the real truth about what's happening. When all those people that watch the television and think, oh, that's the truth. Everything we're watching is the truth, when it isn't. I mean, I know this is digressing really away from where you are, but I had a case where I know what the bank did to me in 2007. What it was is, at that point, everybody had to initiate their cards by ringing the number on the back. That activated the card. What happened was, I'm not even saying it was just that bank I'm with, but they had this issue. When you rang up, it accidentally put PPI on everybody's accounts, whether they asked for it or not. And putting wrong, charges onto people's accounts has nothing to do with that PPI scam thing. There's nothing to do with it. Wrong charges on people's accounts is something completely different. But they managed to put us in the PPI lot. And what I worked out was, because it's a bit like you, but I haven't looked into things like you. I started looking up things, and basically there's the Data Protection Act and the Data Information Act. Now, it broke the Data Protection Act because they clone all credit ratings onto other computer systems, and because the amounts are wrong, because people have been overcharged, basically everybody that did this or had this problem, the chief executive of the bank would have been told. They should have been honest and upfront and told everybody what was going on, and they were able to put us into the PPI scam, which it wasn't. And then basically the banks won't help you. Then they send you to the ombudsman. The ombudsman then make you wait 4 years, and then the ombudsman turn around and say they can't help you. So it made me realise that government bodies are being paid millions each year to do nothing. And I was just, basically, for me to do this, I'd have to go to court myself, even though I know what's happened. And the Data Protection Act, I think it's that one, you know, there are other laws and things that can be used in there. They just weren't interested because they wanted to keep us in the PPI fiasco, but we were nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, wrong bank charges put on everybody's accounts. It's nothing to do with the product PPI. It's still wrong charges. It wouldn't matter what they called it, but they were able. And you know what? There are thousands of people like me, and now a lot of people have been trying to say this to those people who can get your PPI back for you. The companies are telling me that they have hundreds of people coming through with the same story as me, but there's nothing to protect us. So everything is a con, and they've managed to break the law, be trading in fraud. It's fraud. What they've done is fraud. It's disgusting. So I kind of, like, before I even got into Flat Earth, I fell out with all that kind of stuff because, you know, up until then, there was times where I thought I could be a counsellor and all these kind of things. This is one of the reasons I cannot vote for that crap, even before Flat Earth came along, because they're trading in fraud. I mean, what about sick, elderly, people who went away, people who don't even still realise they're being charged this PPI on their accounts, which was wrongly put on their accounts? It's disgusting. It's even bigger than the PPI fiasco, but they've managed to cover it up. They should resign. My bank should be arrested.
I just want to say that the bank should be they should be making money. If they're making profits, they should be sharing it with the customers and the transactions that are happening via the customers, businesses and transactions and management of the money and finances and estates. Then the banks, when they make the profit, should share that back with the customer, shouldn't they, in reality? But instead, what we're seeing in actuality is that they make money from us and off us, which is then the part of what I'm seeing here with you and what you're right. Now that rings true, but it's the fact that they've missold insurance and they've missold.
It's not even missold though, David, because all that happened was we rang the number on the back of the card to activate the card, and they had a mistake on their system which added PPI to everybody's accounts without their permission, without written consent, without anything. That is wrong charges. It's nothing to do with the product. Nothing. It's wrong charges. It's something completely different.
I've not looked into this. I've not claimed any of this back. I've got no knowledge. I don't know. No one in my immediate family has done this, so I'll have to go.
3
I know about
years of my
finance,
life
but
I
none of
spent
this.
on that. I even could see the law. I even brought up the law because the chief executive gets told about any errors when they break the bank codes. The chief executive gets told. Then they changed the chief executive, and the one that's there now, they gave him a 5 million or 7 million bonus. That's all the money from the people.
Chancellor of the Exchequer. Yeah, you've got Chief Cashier, Chancellor of the Exchequer, and who did you just say? Yeah, there's someone else.
Sorry, say again.
Who did you just mention? That position?
Well, the chief executive gets told about all the codes that get broken. So say it may not be him directly, but his office will be told that the codes have been broken. And in 2012, what it's like ringing up. By the end of it, you're in tears basically because the amount of phone calls you've had to make to actually do it. The bank told me that they were well aware in 2012 it was a bank error. and they still managed to be able to put us into the PPI fiasco, which we won. We were nothing to do with that. Wrong charges is something completely different. None of us knew we had it.
Sorry, I'm listening, but I'm reading your room comments as well. Your guys are right good. I do like the comments and what they say. I'm listening to you as well, but I do like to keep abreast of what's going on in here. That's why I'm smiling if it looks weird.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you for looking at the chat room, because the chat room are just as important, and we do appreciate everybody that comes and listens to our hangouts and listens to the people speaking. And then we've got people like you, which is an absolute pleasure to have on our channel, and we thank you very much for everything that you do for the people. And that's another reason why you've come on here to talk about it, to explain it to people.
Yeah, they're saying that you're lifting the lid as well, so I'd like to bring that back to you, and that's for you, saying that the content is so awesome. There's someone in the Netherlands that wouldn't mind some advice. They're asking if it's just if it's a particular topic, if it's just UK, or can we talk about, I don't know, wherever they are then, if they're in different parts, and that could perhaps be done. UK and USA and Canada and New Zealand share the same foundation of law, common law, and that might be my brother David thingy there, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's a lot of chat there. They're saying thank you, well done. There's comments about astral thief and ears lowered, haircut, something, is it?
Yeah, Astral's cut his hair.
Right? I don't know.
He actually cut his hair.
I'm just reading the messages. Yeah, so yeah, I'd just like to just take a minute and say hello to all these lovely brothers and sisters.
A nice comment for me there from Mark. It took 3 years of my life, and I couldn't believe it. They made me go to the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman sat on all our cases for about 4 years, 3-4 years, and then when it came through, they said there was nothing they could do because of the time lapse. And the Ombudsman didn't take into consideration all the years that they took.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? So you're stabbed by the place. So there's no way the Ombudsman are fair. They're working for the banks.
Yes, they're all in a gang, Karen. We're not in it. George Carlin quote. Yes, it's right. And we got a fast wake up. We're creating our own gang, but it's a peaceful, non-protest, non-destructive, non-aggressive gang. And the faster we realise that there is no gang, we are in a gang. We're in little gangs and we're splintered up, but not like the gangs where, you know, look. If some brothers and sisters gather on the street, well, you know, they try and get you for you know, gathering in numbers and so forth. But financially, yes. And I'd also like to bring up for your viewers and family and for you guys, these notices that come through that we're thinking of letters, and it says you may be breaking the law. Do you have a TV license, or your account is in arrears and you need to pay, or Big Barry's coming to sort you out? In effect, you know, we see these TV license, you know, council tax, utility bills, and they've got no signature on, and they've got a photostat, a photocopy. It's administrative. There's no man, eyes, human has seen that and issued that. And I want everyone that it gets harassment or that gets worried about these notices and letters and debts and wording and boxes and big red letters and how it looks, and you know, them telling you that you might be breaking the law. Well, these things are what we need to address fundamentally, because folk, brothers and sisters, are committing suicide over these alleged debts and, you know, how things are. And you're bang on the money, but you're bang on the money talking about that money, because money is a massive area of which this machine is fully cognitive. It's alive in essence. It's running on its own. There's no the guys that instituted this aren't at the back, like pressing the buttons. In effect, there's nobody managing it. I don't know where it even exists, but there's a system connected to the police and the council and the courts, and it runs, and it's got us all in it. And if you get caught up in it, this is why we're here, because it seems to know. It's like it's alive. It's like what they brought out on Terminator. It's got its own conscience. It believes it's right. It believes it's just. It believes it's lawful. Big Barry comes, starts, you know, threatening you and saying stuff through the door, and you are seeing firsthand 3 years of your life. You need remedy. You need some kind of, you know, closure for that. You need to be compensated for having to go through all of that, surely.
Well, they don't care about us, do they, at all? Because if they were, my bank would have stood up and told the truth about what it did.
Never, yeah.
You know, I even took it to the police. I went to the police about it.
Not a chance.
Nobody really knows what I'm talking about because not enough people have come forward with this thing. Not that way. If more people were reporting it to the police, then they probably would have to take notice of it. But I just look like a little sprat in the big, what are they? They're the sharks. I can't believe what they did to us, all of us. And a lot of people will just accept the little bit of money they get back from the PPI, and a lot of people won't even know what's happened to them. But they are trading. My bank is trading in fraud since at least 2007. Things they did. Goodness knows what else they've done. But they're putting bots in, aren't they? And robot, basically. That's what's dealing with us. You don't even get humans anymore. You just get bots dealing with everything. So it's really nice that you are a real human being talking about it.
Yeah, it's not good. It's intimidation, threats, and everything like that. I've been talking with my software engineer. He's getting woken up to because he's working with me now, and he's a website builder engineer. He's fully proficient in what he does, and he's like, I'm going to stay with you, Dave, because I'm very interested in what you've got to say. He says, I've seen some of your videos, and I've looked myself because I've got a brain. Because I don't get told what to think. I think what I want to think and what I've researched. And he said, this is a bit scary, isn't it? I went, it is very scary, yes. Because we've chatted about, he's a tech kid, so he knows about the blockchain and the AI and the revolutionary aspects of which is going on. And he said, so to be fair, he goes, I can see that there's a digital revolution, an AI revolution going off secretly in the background. And we don't know it's here, and we're not restricting it in any way. We're seeing these acts and statutes and management systems in effect now. We are being the victim of them, and yet we are not aware of them. They are not telling us outright. We've got publications, lawful ones, that say administrative this is unlawful and blah blah blah, and we can stand and we can know it till we're blue in the face. But until you can go down and pass the mitigation and get to the litigation part and tell them and stand on it and enforce it, they will, even when you're in the right, if you can't prove it, they will be in the right. That's what justice system we've got. So we don't have a justice system. We don't have a banking system.
So what's the solicitors doing on our behalf then, when they know all these ways and means of doing things and they're not? A solicitor could do what you're doing for a person, couldn't they? Because they know all the rights and ins and outs of everything.
A solicitor is ultimately a trustee. So you would go to, they're a third party. You've got an issue. You go to them and say, look, pal, this is happening. I've split up with my wife, blah, blah, blah. We need to sort the estate, house, everything out, bank account, children. So you submit to them your right, you give them the power of attorney. In fact, you give them control to get in touch and to manage your affairs and to talk and to relate and to get in touch and go to the court, prepare the paperwork, speak to the judge. They do a lot, a solicitor. So they're a trustee, but what they do is they act for the law society. They're not in the brotherhood of man, and they're not in the brotherhood of woman, we'll call it. So they act in the interest of the society because that's who they work for. And the judges are in the society. The police are in the police's gang, but they're closely knitted to the society. The prosecution, the magistrates, all of this business, all of the ushers and the guys in the court share jobs and swap jobs, not like judge jobs and certain high jobs, but we've seen it firsthand. They swap jobs, they share jobs, they do stuff. They all, like you've said about the procedure, all getting put together. They cut corners a lot. It's not so much in a public house anymore. They're in a private room. If you're in a private room and you can't conduct justice or law in a private room. And if it's not on the record and it's in a private room, what's going on there? That's not justice, you see. And it's deceptive in many ways. And if you can't stop it and say, oh, you can't, what are you doing? And even if you have to get a pad out and go, according to this, I'm a Jew and this is not right. And they'll go, oh, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. And they'll quickly, and you'll get something done or you'll get something shut down. They submit when we don't sign or consent, not me or the movement, but when I encounter others that deal with the legal system and the fiduciary, the court system, and the civil system, and they don't sign and consent, what happens is later on in the court, there's documents are there with a photocopied signature on the document itself, which they haven't put on, but the court will admit. And it's like, oh, what? There's so much going on that you need to know that you should never go there unless you're in a higher court, you know, and that you can have stuff on the record, witnesses, it's listed publicly, it's referenced, and, you know, it's all above, well, no, I say all above board. There's still personage and barracks going off, but the more we teach and talk about it, the more that it will become common knowledge, you know, and these guys, our brothers and sisters, need to know who they are, and that's fundamentally, you know, our ignorance. But we believe what we're told. We believe at school they've got our best interest in heart. They're in effect trustees, you know, and they haven't. They're teaching us what they want us to know. The same as if you go to university now and you take a higher course in law and you take the diploma and the what is it, honours. You come out with honours when you get your mortarboard at the end of the graduation period for the degree, and you get a senior mark. So they won't teach you any of this. They'll teach you what they need you to know to go out there and just stay afloat. And then by your own study and journey and, you know, getting on experience, you'll slowly learn how things truly are, you know. You've got to
So
have
does
eyes.
that mean basically all solicitors are blind then?
No, they're sworn into a gang of which you are not in. So when you go to them and ask them for a service, you are asking them to represent you. So if you can't represent the word itself, break it down, represent, when you present something, you are presenting it for the first time. When you represent, you are getting something which is known of and bringing it back up in layman's terms. So you're represent. So that's known to the system. When you present, you would be giving new things to it. So you're representing. And it's how you represent, isn't it? You know, and the solicitor will represent you, and he will be, or that she will be, your trustee. And then therefore you don't know what's going on because you've got a trustee taking care of your affairs and estates. Whereas if you do it yourself, they may try and force somebody on you, like a duty solicitor or trustee, you know, to be with you. You can accept that and say, instruct them not to act because you're capable of doing it yourself. If you have someone to help you in law, you're viewed as a child and you're not given the, you know, the correct court appearance, you know, attendance. You're not recognized. So it's entirely up to you, and you can see what we're doing and what others are doing.
Video in the chat rooms, but everything is a ship, right? Like relationship. Ship.
Yeah.
It's back to the maritime stuff, doesn't it?
Partnership, yeah, trust, yeah, partner, and words ending in ship, yeah, relationship, partnership. Yeah, there's a lot of ships, you know, that when you look at it, you're like, okay, yeah, I see that, and the words give you a clue. It is a clue.
There was also a big relationship in to do with marriage and the moon, if I remember rightly. A lot of those words came up again and again. I can't now remember what they were, but there were many to do with the moon and horses. Anyway, the moon and horses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, making money.
What is it? Wedlock, yeah, and moony, honeymoon, wedlock, baby, and yeah. Where did you see that? I watched that on a Chiron last video, I think. That's where I learned about
last,
moony.
yeah.
But that's amazing.
Oh yes, spaceship.
What about spaceship?
Which we all know is a lie. Spaceship. Oh my goodness.
What's that in reference to? What are you on about?
Oh, someone just put spaceship.
I was thinking
relationship, spaceship. We all know spaceships are.
Yeah, vice ship. Yeah. In the chat room.
Well, I suppose what we could do is I can't say for other countries, maybe like America and these other places, if people are watching from other countries, because obviously our law will be a little bit different. But does anybody in the chat room have anything to ask David as he's here? So I'm just asking the chat room that. That'll take a couple of minutes.
You sunk my battleship. The ship partnership. There, look, soldiership, showmanship, stewardship, sponsorship. What else is one that we know of then? Citizenship. That's the one, isn't it? Citizenship. That's the bad one.
I think when you're in the carts, you stand in the docks.
That's to do with the boat, admiralty. Yeah, maritime admiralty, dock. You've docked. Yeah, it's a foreign vessel that's docked onto land. So that's why you have a dock. and then you have that setup. So you're actually entering on.
And also when you're birthed, when you're born, you're birthed. You know.
How do you spell that?
When you take, well, there's a few ways, isn't there?
Exactly. Yes, brother. Yes, there is. It sounds the same though. It doesn't matter how it's spelled. It sounds the same, but the actual trick is the detail to the actual body, the verbiage that you are going to use. Because if you get it wrong and you make an omission or an error, your whole document will fail. And it's that precise. That's what we're saying. It's a real thousands of years old game. They didn't do this overnight. That's what I mean. It's been a long time coming. This a long time.
Could I just say something, David? Marilyn has asked quite a few times for your actual web page. Is it possible for you to actually put that in the chat room? She's asked quite a few.
I'd love to, but I'm not all about promoting like that. But when asked, we will do. Yeah, we'll right now for you guys. Right,
there you go, Marilyn, for you and for everyone in the chat room.
My first .com. I can't believe it. I worked in the .com where I worked. Servitude. I can give you a little clue for those of you that know. You know already because you're privileged to because you're close friends. But the others, I can't really release that because it's not ethical. But it had a .com, and my senior managers were .com managers, and I worked in the .com business, e-commerce, and. When they was like chatting to me, these senior managers, and they knew that I like to talk about law and legal things and what I've got going on. And I said, I don't affiliate it with work, so you can't hold me to account at work for what I do outside. I may have different interests to what you're, and they're like, no, we don't mind. And when I was leaving, they were all like, so what you doing? I'm going to well, I'm going to run my own .com. And they're like, surely, what do you mean? And I just said, well, I've got an idea. This is the idea, and I've not really seen anything like it, and I feel a responsibility, and I've got a lot of clever brains in the Facebook group of which they need protecting, they need education of some sort, they need upskilling, and they need someone to invest and give them some time and see what comes of it. I says, I don't really like this .com. This corporation is empty, it's soulless, it doesn't give. And I don't feel that to give my time, for £12 an hour, it equated to thereabouts £10-12 an hour. I think my time's worth more than that. So if I can sit at a .com, my YouTube, the Facebook, whatever media platform I'm on, and give time and knowledge to folk and make their lives better and save something from somebody from harm. I says I don't want a badge or anything for it, but I want to teach that to others so others can do it, and that'll be from that .com. And I says I've got about 4,500 members across 3 platforms, 3,000 Facebook, 1,500. No, there's more. Between 2, there's a 4,500. I said, so fucking my aim is to get a minimum of 2,000 members to come in and donate like for the full year. The £12 is a donation. You all live in a monetary system. You understand how everything works with bills and responsibilities. But I said to my bosses, so if I get 2,000 donating £12 for the year, I says that's what's 2 lots of 12, that's 24, so that's £24,000 for a trust income in the first year. I said, so I'm going to take the risk and try and accrue as many like-minded souls and guys that are in trouble to show them what we can do. I said, how much is a solicitor's letter, guys? To my bosses. He says 50, 70 quid. I went, yeah. And how much is it? I've just won at a magistrate's. Well, we've just won. It was the beneficiary also. It wasn't just me. It was more him than me, his case. And I said, and we've just walked to the magistrates and got this done. So, I know what I'm on with. I believe we can do this. And I think I can attract enough people to actually turn them into brothers and sisters. And I told them about the birth certificate rule and stuff. And I said, so that's where we're at, what we're going to do. So, it is my little baby, this .com, and it doesn't seem real at this moment in time. I will to let you know. It's cost that much, man hours and intellectual properties got into it, and time and love and sweat and tears and frustration. It's I'm in a bit of a limbo, if I'm honest. I'm conscious of where I'm at, but I'm not sure, about a lot of things. But we're going to give it a good go. Yeah.
Just to say, the only thing I'd ever heard a bit like yours, it is a group on Facebook. It's called Beat the Banks and Bailiffs. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I believe there's a guy called Derb JD or John Dow. Chrissy Morris, I believe, was in there when I was learning from Chrissy Morris, his techniques. I don't mind letting you know who my mentors were, and I believe I'm still in there. There has been some, what would we call it, rejection and ejection from the Facebook community due to me having this, set this group up and then this family ultimately. And I'm starting to provide remedies. And when folk, not I, the environment and yes, me to some extent, but the group, the family provide remedies, and then others eject me from the group, take them said remedies and put them in their own, and I can't then see the work that's being shared. But then they it's really sick, the world that we live in, because they like to monetize and make money from it. Then they think, oh, you could use that template, and I know people that are paying me 20 quid for that. So what we'll do is say that, yeah, back to the point, the solicitor's letters, 70 quid, a court appearance is a few £100 an hour. You can do that yourself. We'll get this trained out. You won't do it straight away, but we can do that in the meantime, or appoint trustees to do that, not the site's trustees, but other like sovereign guardian angels. We were thinking stuff like that to go out nationwide and appear for civil issues and be your Mackenzie friends, like emergency Mackenzie friends, and pick it up like that. So I can see that man needs help. We can see man needs help. We can see man's being fleeced, and I'd like to use other such harsher words, but I'll be conscious of the audience and swearing and that, but it's not nice. And I think we've got a good chance of getting this out because there's enough interest and we're having some good results. And for 25p a week, you can't compare it. We're trying to make the website a no-brainer. So when you go there and you have a look at it, you go, wow, yeah. And then we affiliate with like People for People and other such websites that are established and that are providing a man-to-man service in the private, equitable realm, like such as what was his name? Was he called Richard as well?
Yeah, Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive.
Oh yeah, we'll have that all day long. Yeah, that's it. That's what dreams are made of.
He's on tomorrow, and obviously he's going to talk a bit more about People for People. But obviously, putting a web page together, as you well know, is quite a lot of work, and he has to buy some plugins. So just to let people know that Rich Thrive and Survive has put his own money into peopleforpeople.life. But I think he might pass it on to someone else to put together because the plugins got to know what you're doing to do all this.
Yeah, I've said I'd give him some advice, and don't stress. We have got the option of my tech guy, our tech guy. I've got to start changing the way that I speak. I don't mean to do it, but yeah, the family's tech guy. He said that he would take on some extra work. I'm going to be careful, like not to advertise him because I don't want him to get hit up with loads of random requests and stuff. But we have got an experienced brother in the background that's privately available for anybody that's genuine, that like stuff like this. Then I dare say he could within 10 minutes. It take me 3 hours, and I can relate to Richard as well, Thrive and Survive, that it would take him 3 hours. You have to go on YouTube, find the tutorials, find out that the app's changed and been updated since that tutorial's been done. I have been there and done it. So long story short, if he sends me a message, an email, or gets in touch, we could look at the problems. But if he's going to be keeping on expanding it and growing it, which I think he will, he is probably better just getting some donation fund, crowdfunding together, or some funds and paying it to someone in a bulk amount and getting it all done. Yeah.
But I'm just gonna go back to say what he says on People for People. Just let me look it up. People for I'm on Facebook, aren't I? I don't want to be on Facebook. Sorry. Sorry, I'm just going to the actual web page. It is up and running. People are joining it, but it needs a few more plugins. And then we need a bit more admin on it and everything. So it says People for People, connections worldwide. We're a community of like-minded individuals who share talents and resources, not for money, but for love. And then it goes, experience it yourself. Enjoy a community 100% free from the worry of censorship and data mining. And then you only live once, but do it right. Once is enough. May West. And then connecting people with talents made simple. Contribute, learn, connect, enjoy, communicate, be free. That's what it says on the homepage. Peopleforpeople.life. Rich David is, hopefully, you've joined it, haven't you? Yeah, you have, haven't you? And you're going to be a part of it and help. So
yeah, I've joined it. Yeah,
and then that
I'm
helps
on it,
you. That helps you, and that helps us, and that helps everybody. So, but I say a few of the plugins have got to be done because obviously, you know, it's a brand new thing being made from scratch, and I know that you understand that.
Yeah, I do more than anybody here. It's yeah, because I'm not trained. I haven't been to university. We're just self-taught, and we do it. You know, that's how it's the best way to learn, isn't it? But it obviously is frustrating. It takes longer. You do make mistakes, and if you're in a rush and you've got a tight budget, then it's better to do it yourself. But you lose the rush part because you have to keep 2 steps forwards, 1 step back, unless you've got a really clever friend that can sit back and you know, give you advice. So there is, like, again, there you go. He's setting up a website which is common unity based. So we can look at facilitating some help for him from our side initially till he gets set up as a way of, like, you know, so there'll be some viewers here that could, but then it's the trust, see, because you've got to give the password and everything out to let them in, or you've got to sit and let them dictate what you're doing, which is quite hard. It's better letting somebody into your site in the back end, the back office, sorry. I'm so conscious of every word. And you'd let them do it quickly, but so you'd have to really trust them to do that, because again, you're giving security options away to let somebody log in to your pride and joy, and they could take you so far, and then they could, like, you know, take you down from within. So you really need that trust element there for that. But there is ways we could look at it, but I'm not aware of it because I'm so concentrated on my own mission at the minute.
Yeah, we don't even realise what we're saying, do we? We don't even realise the words we're using.
Somebody's asked, are the government, Jesus Jones asked something, and are the government workers considered trustees? Yes, they are. So they would be considered trustees. Yeah, your MP is a trustee. You know, your the ministers and the the National Health, the DWP. You have ministers and secretaries, the Transport Minister, the Department for Transport, the Department for Social Care and Housing. They are all in a appointed ward of the state capacity, so they are actually trustees, and those are the ones that have principals. They are the principal agents and stuff working underneath them, which would be CHADA, healthcare professionals, you know, Healthcare UK, Care UK, working under contract under the British government, you see. So you have trustees again, but these guys are agents then, the debt collectors, the enforcement, civil enforcement that comes for the enforcement for the alleged debt. They are agents working for the principal, and the principal is the government boss, the one that hires that out. You know, it's the government don't do their own dirty work. The government have got an issue, and so they go somewhere else and say, oh, go and have a look at that, and then they get the contract to come out. So that's a proxy, isn't it? So it's not good when you realise what's happening and you think, so you're not government. It doesn't make sense really to some extent. Like the guys that clamp your car don't work for the DVLA. What we've seen in our experience, like the DVLA have got an issue, and then clamp your property. See, I've just done it again. Clamp your property or your car if it's a commercial one, but still private property, and they don't work for the DVLA. They're on an agency relationship. So I was looking for somebody who you said had asked a question. Did we answer that?
They were putting in, at the time we were asking questions, everybody put in the bit about ship, so censorship, leadership.
I've seen, yeah, I don't see a questions.
So, in a sense, they've made all this horrible, like, maritime law, but there's also a back door with other law. If you understand how to get it, use it. How come they've made this back door? What's that about? Was that just for them?
Because otherwise, you've got the remember this little thing called the Human Rights Act. Yes, we're all aware of that, aren't we? Your human rights. You might not know what your human rights are if I ask you about them, but you know there is a Human Rights Act, don't you? And in there, it stipulates about slavery and things. So we need to conform to that because we're a nation. We're a part of the United Nations, aren't we? We're a part of the European Common Unity. We're a part of lots of things. So if we want to be a part of them things, we need to act proper. We need to follow the rules. We can't be a savage third world country with slaves, can we, when we're trying to take over the world and tell the world how wrong it is? So we need to lead by example. So we need to be British with a stiff upper lip, and we need to be clever, forthright, and show the world, who we are, what. You know who I am. And actually, what? It's very, very funny that we're not that clever and we're not that free. Just if you want to test that, stop paying your council tax and see what happens. See how long before Big Barry tries to come and get you. Try and take your kids out of school, not do it the correct way, and home educate them, then get social services round. See how long it is before they contract with you, take your property away and put it into forced adoption. Then tell me you're free and you've got property and you know who you are and what your rights are. So they've put these 2 tiers of laws in. So when they're doing all of this, when they come to clamp the property and they take it away because there's no road tax being paid, because they assume a driver and a public man is running this as a commercial unit, and so it's justified for that levy and tax on it because of the Road Traffic Management Act that's stipulated by default because you haven't corrected anything. So that's how they get away with it. But if you're in the private and you start getting your stuff, can I swear? My mate said this saying to me, and it's got 2 swear words in. It's not bad. But the saying is, it's a Sheffield man, and he said, "Look, Dave, if I find out you fuck my shit up, I'm gonna fuck your shit up because that's how we roll." And I was like, "That's quite eloquent. That's what they've done. They've basically underhandedly fucked it up, and now we're gonna do the same to them. And we found ways to do it. You see, and it's a 2-tier system. It's a public way and a private way, but you can't get into the private unless you know how. Otherwise, they put you in the public." So under Roman civil law, you are guilty until you prove yourself innocent, which isn't, how we think it is it?
No, nothing's what you think it is.
Exactly. It's deceptive. You're right. It is fraudulent, but then it can't be fraud because if I can claim to be the settlor, trustee, and beneficiary of the birth certificate, as Astral said about birth, and he's been learning about how you spell BERTH, Bravo, Echo, Romeo, Tango, Hotel, birth, or you've got Bravo, Indigo, Romeo, Tango, Hotel. Then you've got birth. So there's 2, but they've done that so it sounds the same when you say it phonetically, but when you have the paper and you're in the legal realm, or you're looking at it with equity eyes of equitable nature, and you're looking at it, then you'll be like, "Oh, I see, it's that kind of birth. Oh, right, yes. Now we know what they're on about." It's not done. When I was little, it used to confuse the hell out of me, and now I know why they did it. It's the deceptive language that's babble. Yeah, babble is what it is.
It's actually all a load of rubbish for the people.
Yeah, it's not English, but then again,
sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Isn't it correct to say that it's bollocks? I mean,
yes,
is that correct?
Respect.
I'm being honest now, right? I mean, all joking aside,
bullshit.
But I mean, okay, you're saying like, is it like when you're babbling and all that kind of thing? But I've heard that when you're talking bollocks, it's something that like priests do when they're babbling. I don't know if it's right or maybe it's like it was a drunken night one night. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
hey, Astral, did you have a good day today?
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Because nothing happened and I didn't pay any fine. So, yeah, it was a good day. I don't need to say any more about that, but I can tell you in private, Karen, yeah. But it was all right. No issue. I mean, yeah, no issue. So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. But these parking people, they are a concern, not just to myself, to many people, because it's...
that's all about making money, isn't it? Giving people tickets.
Here,
it's all about making money for the... Yes, it's making money.
What they've done over here, they've taken the police used to give out fines when people, had road traffic violations or whatever, parking tickets. The police used to do that, but now it's been privatized, so it's a company that's doing it, and these companies, they don't give a shit, you know, and they you can see them with telephones and their timing, and I mean, on the second, or if not before, I mean, a lot of the times they'll give tickets out, you know, because they are on commission. The more they give out, the more money they make, that kind of thing, you know, and some of them are just like ridiculous tickets, really. And it ain't
Yeah,
cheap. It ain't
it's
cheap.
all
I mean,
crazy how they're doing it now.
the cheapest ticket, I believe, is something like £58. You know,
Wow.
whatever a violation is, that's the cheapest one, I believe. It's expensive, man. So yeah,
A lot of people might not even know that service stations, you know, like the ones along the motorways, you can only actually stay there for 2 hours. And if you stay there longer than 2 hours, they want to charge you for parking. Well, I didn't notice the one up the road from me onto the motorway of the M4. They'd done that. I mean, I know there were signs, but I wasn't looking at them because I didn't know this was happening. I parked in there for like 2 hours, 10 minutes. They gave me a parking fine. But the thing is, I was going on holiday for 2 weeks, so I paid it. But these people don't have, they make it look like it's a police one. Picture of me coming in and going out. And they make it look so official. They don't have the jurisdiction of the police. So in a sense, you don't even have to pay it. But I was going on holiday and I was so upset I got this thing. I wasn't going to pay it. And I'm going on holiday. I just paid it. But again, it's just, oh. I think around here, maybe a lot of people were parking their cars to go to work, so station, and then someone would pick them up, and then they all go in one car, or they just leave their cars there and go to work. So it's to stop that. But I mean, how many people really want to stay in a service station for hours? Just going for something to eat. But I mean, even charging you for being in the service station. And then they've got a machine on the side. You're supposed to put your card, you're supposed to ring up and give your card details. You can't even just put a card in or money in and get a ticket. And it's really expensive. It's not just £1 or £2 for staying there. It's pounds. I'm surprised they don't charge us for the air, to be honest.
That's coming. They've got ideas on that.
Do you think so?
What's going to happen? Wait, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but you've heard of a company called Monsanto, haven't you? And you know about genetic modification.
Yeah.
Well, I was about this for a concept. They might one day put something into the atmosphere that's, let's say, is patented, copyrighted, patented, trademark technology, and let's say that it's in the air and it's microscopic, and we inadvertently breathe that in, but it's trademark, copyrighted technology property that is not ours. It's nanotech. We'll call it nanotech. We'll call it Monsanto nanotech for want of other corporations. Other such deathly corporations are available, such as Cargill, Nestle, and so forth and so on. We're not just pick on Monsanto, but they're the ones that are in Hungary at the minute that I've seen working prevalent in my mind, and they make technology that's to do with crops and management of crops, and we'll call it bug, microbiological insecticide control for bulk of crops, for better crops, for the tomatoes and fruits that aren't perished. And then we've breathing them in. Then they might end up trying to charge us for possessing property of which we don't have a license for. You know what I mean? So then we're going to have a license to breathe the air, because now that air contains nanotech, which isn't ours. And for us to breathe that air that contains tech that isn't ours. But then again, you'd argue on a equitable matter that the dominion is ours and they're a corporation. But we need to be careful how much power we let these lobbyists and corporations and things have, and play with genetics and nanotech and spraying crap in the air and whiteouts and these additives and chemicals and that, because things are happening, and if we don't keep up with it, if we're too slow, then our offspring are going to laugh and hate us, and they're going to curse us for it.
It's like TV licenses, isn't it?
Yeah, go on, property technology.
Well, it's the same like TV license, I mean, that's just all, we had the TVs before the flipping license idea came out. Same with dogs. What's all that about? Get a dog? Yeah, get a license for it. Get it chipped. We need it chipped. Where does it belong? Where does it live? Who's the owner? Where are you now? I'm following you. Where is your dog? I know where your dog is, so you can't be far behind. You know.
Man's best
Did
friend.
anybody see the post going around today about Alexa? If you ask Alexa, are chemtrails real? Alexa says they are real, and they're chemicals being put into the air.
But wait, can I just say, I said this to Matthew in our group last night. Someone's posted it in Facebook for us on SPL. So you can easily get a screenshot of Alexa and you can easily sample that voice and then do another. It could be that someone's done that as a wind up. You know what I mean? I urge any of the viewers now, and they're worldwide, aren't they, to get Alexa and do it themselves and video it and put the results up, because I'm not skeptical.
Can I be honest with you? When I first saw it, I thought that is exactly what they'd
Come
done.
on, it's too good. That is too good, isn't it? I'm like, what?
And I was just thinking that's what they'd done. It
Someone
wasn't
said
until I was reading the comments I thought, what? That's answering.
Has anyone else done it?
And I was thinking, well, all right, but I haven't got Alexa, so I can't test it to see.
I haven't. I won't have one of them ever. But we need someone to do the Alexa challenge now. We need it on.
Yeah. Word, yeah, man, that's good. That's good.
Wait, what I would like to see. I would like to see Surrey versus Alexa. Who would win?
My daughter-in-law is telling me that they asked Alexa whether they are from the CIA, and it turns itself off when you ask it questions like that.
Oh, wow.
I've heard one where I don't know what search thing it was, but they were asking it questions, religious questions, and it just wouldn't answer them. You know, it couldn't answer them. It would just, I don't know.
Alexa, who is the bondsman for Jesus Christ? Beep, power off.
Yeah, I'm sure if you said, Alexa, we live on a flat plane, don't we? They probably won't answer that one either.
Yes, Alexa, tell me about the straw man.
Who was the first man on the moon? When you're really depressed, you want a good laugh.
Yes. How many satellites are there in space, and will the Tesla car hit any of them? Come on.
Yeah, hey,
Marilyn's asked in the chat room.
Satellite bet.
Marilyn's asked in the chat room what it is. What do you explain Alexa is? It's this thing that can do your shopping for you.
Wait,
but people say that it can listen in.
Wait, can I just say to that viewer, if you've ever watched Star Trek and you've ever seen them go, computer, tell me, and then, or for older generation, such as myself, if ever you watched Red Dwarf and you saw computer, which was a bit more basic, but it was the first Alexa. Holly, yeah, Red Dwarf. Remember Holly? There was a man version and a woman version of that. That's your Alexa there, and also Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and the like fans. Computer. You know, it's that's how I'd describe it if you're a tech head.
But you don't really want one, do you? Because they say that thing can listen in.
Oh, hello. Yeah, if you're going to be like that, then
okay.
You know we've all got. If you know, I've got nothing to hide. I don't mind the Illuminati, Jesuit, Zionist, global cabal listening to my every word.
Have you not been following the news?
No. Well, go on.
Well, and this is just what I've been. You know, well, I mean, everyone knows, but CIA own and operate Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you know, all that was all set up by them. So if anyone's thinking about, oh, I'm not being listened to, or I'm not being tracked, or we all are, and we all have been for a long time.
Samsung TVs. When I said no way. When I heard about Samsung TVs 5 years ago, I went, shut up. What do you mean, Samsung? No, they can't do that. I says, if they do that, the lot's going up. The lot's going up. I'm telling you. It turns out they are, and nobody's done nothing. What? They're just carrying on buying Samsungs. No. Lord have mercy. Yeah.
Yeah, and what the government aren't saying anything. The only time I heard somebody say something, one of these companies, was Vodafone. But I mean, I've actually left Vodafone because they're just, well, anyway, they're a crazy place. The headquarters is here where I live in Newbury. But they didn't like the fact that when you were abroad, you know, like if you made any phone calls, and they were all being intercepted. And they said that was going against the Privacy Act of Vodafone. But Vodafone liked to employ people and sack everybody. It's the most, I think it's the most horrible place to work in. And a friend of mine got fired, and then they re-employed her again to fire loads of other people. They don't do proper contracts there. You can work there for years, and then basically you get a call to have a meeting, and then they'll say, you're fired, give me your keys, and they won't even let you back to your desk for years and years of service to the place. It's a horrible place to work for. I'm sure they're all like it, but I just know a bit about Vodafone. But anyway, I was, I'm quite pleased that maybe, Facebook are getting into trouble now.
Yeah.
I think it needs to happen to you, even Google as well. Everybody needs to be put in their places.
Yeah. They're all going to get a spanking.
King, yes, the kings are going to spank them. Zuckerberg's been in front of Congress to answer for his actions, and it turns out that it's mad, only 700 or 1,200 took a survey in America in one of these states. But out of these 1,200 or small amount of the ones that took this survey, the data collected was on 60,000 people. It went to 1,200 and got the data for all their associated affiliated networks. Come back from 1,200 up to 60,000. It turns out there were so many 80 million, don't quote me, I'm paraphrasing, but about 80 million worldwide. 1 million are in the United Kingdom, Anglo brothers and sisters with these accounts. And Zuckerberg's gone to Congress to answer for this from Cambridge Analytica, for those that might want to use DuckDuckGo or an alternative to Google search, and look at some other type of results that you might get from a different engine, and put in Cambridge Analytica and look at that and the stories that come up with all this and who they were hired with and how they worked with government contracts and what data got released and how they got hold of it and what he's got to do to make amends, because they've also removed messages from people's accounts from Mark Zuckerberg, and they didn't message the account users in advance before they deleted Mark Zuckerberg's replies. All the messages have gone from him, and they've also got this data thing to deal with. And when is he coming to England to face charges to our side? Because I bet that don't happen either. I yield.
No. But I mean, people for a long time don't even realise that they gave permission to let Facebook in. I mean, it's the one thing I don't do is I've never put my telephone numbers on Facebook, my address book.
Yes.
Because then they've got total access to everybody on your phone, haven't they?
You got a responsibility as an organisation. I've just building this website now, and we've put on there the privacy policy. We've put on the terms and conditions. We put down that the GDPR is going to be coming into effect into May, which will replace in the 1998 Data Protection Act, and we're going to quantify with that and be compliant. And obviously, the line of work we're in as paralegals, we know more than anybody what data and the value of data and the sincerity and the security of which we have another responsibility as trustees and site owners to keep secure and to not let to get out. But you're quite right. 20 years ago, nobody wanted an online account. If you had an online account in 1995 and you dared go on MySpace and such other sites and Napster and Kazaa and whatever else we were using at the time, you were looked at as a sexual deviant. You were looked at as if you had no life. And now everybody can't wait to tell the world that they're on holiday. So Burglar Bill can see you on holiday and clear you out. Nice one. Look where we're at. It's just, wow, insane. How it's come round, and what people now that didn't want it are freely giving away every aspect of the life, every detail for someone to collect and use against you. Yeah, you're right. That's danger. That is real bad. Your family, your children, your offspring. If you haven't locked off your account, you've given it away to public, to the world, and then obviously to the ones that are monitoring it and collecting that data, such as these apps that have got too technical now for us to even work out what might be going on.
Yeah, it's bad enough on here. I don't know if you know, but I don't know, about a month, 6 weeks ago, we got porn bombed, and then Patricia went and found this stuff, and basically Google Hangouts know they've got a glitch, and then they know it lets these trolls in the back door. They can take over your panel, the whole thing, and they decided to leave the glitch in. So anybody that's been and had their channel striked should have it should be being reimbursed, because Google Hangouts know they've got this, and guess what? They own YouTube. It's sick, isn't it?
And what are Google? 10 brownie points for what do Google do now? It's to do with weapons. They're in a, they're in a what capacity? It begins with them, a military capacity. They've got Google. Have you not seen the tech that Google are making, which is them dogs? Have you seen them dogs? That are, what? Oh, it's there. We're here. It's arrived. That what we saw as kids has arrived. I went, no way. It's Terminator days are actually here. You can't kick it over this dog. You can fire well, it's a rocket bionic dog with GPS, cameras, infrared, sensors, guns, grenades, sprays. They've made the full work. They've weaponized something that could have been used to save man, to help man, to act as a brilliant guide dog, the ultimate guide dog, certain things like this, to go, the St. Bernard and that. No, they weaponize it first, don't they, and see what they can do, and don't give it up.
Where are they using this then?
What, that dog and certain things for combat relationships? Good. They've also got the D-Wave, is it D-Wave computer? The Google are the first ones to use the quantum technology. They had the D-Wave computer, which quantum computes with zeros and ones at the same time, unlike the binary. They've also created a new storage capacity measurement. They've far superseded the terabyte, the gigabyte, that one, and because they record everything that happens ever on every internet transaction, sale, video chat, message, and all of that, as we've said previously, they record it and they store it. And because they're storing everything, what do you think's happened? They're filled up. So they've gone again and they've created new measure devices for recording and management of file sizes. They've gone military. They've invented a quantum computer. They own all of this. And they, it's quite scary. But as long as you've got nothing to hide, we're all right. We're safe. We are free to converse and to speculate about any kind of, issues that may be at hand that are stifling our pursuit to happiness and maybe indirectly a form of soft kill.
Yeah, it does sort of feel like Terminator's happening with the AI thing. What's her name? I've forgotten what her name is now.
Sarah Connor.
Sophia?
Sorry, I went Sarah Connor.
Asking a robot, what do you feel? Oh my goodness, I just like, and we're sort of all sitting here and there's nowhere to go, is there, really, to report it or talk about it? Where do you go for all these things?
They showed that canine bot in the last Black Mirror TV series. There you go, the chat rooms. You actually pay, and there's another comment, and you will actually pay and give money for these eavesdropping devices. It's they
make us pay for it, don't they? They'll make the taxpayer pay for it.
They'll sell you something and they'll say, you really need this, you've got to have this, this is look at this, look how good this is, and then you get it and you're like, oh, actually it's kind of a chain, isn't it? It's more of a management technology than actually a technology that's going to free you and enhance your life. It's going to track you and train you.
Whoa, horrible. How's Richard doing there? Is he still making?
Being very secretive.
Yeah, he wants to show us, I think. You nearly finished now.
I have the world's worst soldering iron. It just does not work at all. It's just flailing solder all over, so I'm going to try.
Hey, Richard, tell me, what's your problem? What are you trying to solder? I'll help you. No, I mean it.
Trying.
What are you trying to solder? Tell me what you're trying to solder. 2 pieces of what?
Just components.
On a circuit board.
Well, I'm like kind of making a circuit board.
Right. Have you got any flux?
No, I have the worst soldering iron ever.
That's the problem then. What solder are you using? Because you can have solder that's got flux inside it if it's that tiny thread on a bobbin like.
I've got 2 different types. And
Let me see.
this one's useless.
What's the container that's contained in? Let me see it. Yeah, that's the one that's got flux in it.
And that's a free one. Yeah.
I would say the one in the bobbin is the best bet, but you've got to keep holding it on it. Just hold it on it until it melts. Just hold it on it like halfway down the tip.
Watch, I'll show you.
Don't put it all the way on the tip. Put it a bit behind the tip, like in the middle of the. I'm telling you now because I know.
You guys.
I use them all the time, man. I know, but it'll melt in the middle, and you need to
It
just
is a
keep
fine art.
it on it. Keep it
It
on
is
it,
a fine art.
But you need to get someone to help you to hold it. Otherwise you
Oh
need
my
four
goodness.
hands. You always need 4 hands when you're soldering. I feel that.
Careful. Oh, what you're saying here, it sounds funny now.
I just need a better iron. It costs like £5. It's crap.
How many watts is that? 25.
40.
Oh, all right. Well, you should. Is it not getting hot? Maybe it's
No,
cooking.
it's red on, mate. It goes straight away. It just put the next little ball straight away. It doesn't gather on end pin.
All right. Listen, get a wet cloth and clean the tip off. It might sizzle.
Yeah.
Don't burn yourself. Yeah, but clean it off on that, man. Give it a good rubbing. Get it nice and shiny if you can. Put some solder on it. Put some solder on it to get it. Put some solder on it to get it shiny, because that tip has to be shiny. Then you can solder with it.
We still don't know what he's making.
He's making a test
Well,
for you.
hopefully I'll get it done.
Yeah, he's supposed to be showing us tonight if he can get it finished.
I'm gonna have to keep gabbing on for a bit, aren't I, and extend it. I've run out now. I don't know what to say. Quick, come on, bring it out.
How does it feel not working then now and doing your own thing?
Oh, it's magical. It's truly. I just hope it lasts. I hope that I don't end up a laughing stock and it fails, and what
Oh, not enough. You've already accomplished much more than most people have ever done. You're actually helping people. And I know that maybe you don't like this gratitude, but you should feel proud of yourself, David.
I am now. I've learned that. Yeah, I've got to. Yeah, I've taken advice, and it's just. Yeah, it's fantastic getting up and not having to. I don't want to. I feel bad for saying it, but I have kind of made this happen by working full time as a slave, 40 hours a week, sometimes 50. Coming home and then dealing with my biological affairs, my own and my missus and kid, and then should I say off property? It sounds awful when you say that. And then once I've had an hour with them, it was a good 4 hours every night, all night. Sometimes if it worst case scenario and something exploded, but or a situation went off and we had somebody to help. So it didn't just appear, and it everybody's looking for a way to make money or for their way in life or for their bit of fame or I went trying to be a DJ and I'm 40 now nearly, and I realized that I've done what I needed to do and I've got a sense of achievement and I look for something else, and I did this on the side and it's now turned into too many emails and too many text messages, and I think today on this phone, this one that's registered on the .com, on my call history, I've got I think 6 incoming calls. It starts at, let me just count the interaction from today. I think I've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a good 15 calls, of which from 5 different numbers. So there's a lot of activity, and I thought, as I said, it is a sacred contract. I don't know how I got onto it, but I've kind of accepted it and we're willing to move forward. So having not to get up and get in the rat race and all of the stuff that I've done since, leaving school, 16, I didn't get a job straight away. But then when we had kids at 19, I soon got a job then. Do you know what I mean? And it's been constant uphill pedaling since we're 19. Well, I had one just before, but it were casual. So yeah, I had to knuckle down when the Bambinos arrived, and I've grafted and paid in and slogged and paid tax and sweat equity for all them years, and to actually now sit down and I can't show you my office because you're on the. Oh, I can actually show you. I can take it. But what we've got going off is the laptop, is my TV, Well, it's not a very good webcam, is it? But can't get it's backwards. It's all.
It comes a bit. It comes through a bit clearer actually on the watch page than it does on our panel.
Oh, does it? Yeah. And then I've got.
Yeah.
I've got the set Lord's chair. I've got like a leather chair. Yeah, that I sit in. This camera's quite like a fisheye on it, so I can't really show you. But Prince is in the corner next to the chair. I've got my little bookshelf and stuff and everything, and then my actual laptop and that. So this is my office in effect now, and I like it, and I want to stay in it, and I want to work for the man, helping the man doing what we do. And yeah, it's definitely a little bit scary though, but it's very, very. It's made me very, very happy as well, though, as you can imagine.
Just asking you, is it worth actually training to be a solicitor and then doing what you've done and then using the law against them? Or you don't need to?
Yeah, you could. Well, training to be a solicitor would involve going to university and going on law degrees. So why would you go and spend maybe 3 to 6 years of your law degree, because you'll learn what they want you to know and the parts of the public law and the bits that they will give you, which is because they can't think about it. You can't go to uni and learn all law in 3 years. They tell you they ask you which area of the law you are interested in: contract, public, criminal, civil, miscarriages. There's a lot. Then you go on that particular course. So you must appreciate that the average student won't learn the areas of law of which gets presented in our Facebook group. We don't know what questions and what requests are going to hit us or be presented every hour to hour, day to day, week to week. So we've had to be reactive. Whereas when you go to be training for a solicitor and join, in the public academic side at great expense to you, you learn a set amount. And in that law, you have a channel of which you learn and focus on, and you don't learn all of that. So what we've discovered is, there are different areas of law, and there are the public and natural, the common law and the private, and we need you to get the basics, and then you can make your own decision and you can decide, because no man has the right, or woman has the right to tell another how to act, do they, or can judge them. So you can do all that yourselves. All we'll do is present the definitive options of which we see that are there and that are put there, so you can actually escape or sidestep or reassign some of that claim that's been made. But unfortunately, nobody has the ability to do that, because ignorance is no defense, the law is an ass, blah blah blah, go all day. But ultimately we need to fix this now, fast.
Yeah, because even the law's a bit of an arse, isn't it? Because when we're standing opposite each other, the law protects you, not me. And then when you look at me, the law protects me, not you. It's the other way round. It's the wrong way round. Everything's the wrong way round. But we already know that, don't we? Everything is the wrong way round.
Topsy-turvy.
Yeah, it is, and we don't, we can't go out and keep getting violent and protesting and burning stuff, and what they want us to do. That, you see, I want to provide, or we want to provide, an outlet, a reasonable, intelligent, articulated. It's understandable. You would feel anger and emotion, and you want to lash out, and you feel that you should, get some revenge. But when we get past that initial stage, which is only natural, and everybody goes, 90% of us go through it. Once we've got past that, we can then sit down and actually have something laid out with, it's not the end of the world. This is what we're going to do, or this is what we would suggest you think about or consider, doing, other than smashing and burning and calling, pointing fingers. Because we have got some element of responsibility and blame, as hard as it is to hear, I would say, to some extent. Yeah, no.
Yeah. It's always good to know, isn't it? Knowledge.
Yeah, and to share it. That's what it is. It's not for selling. It's not for profiting. It's not for an ego. It's not for a TV show. It's just, what it is, what it is. It's the spoken word.
Better of mankind.
Yes, brother. The diseases that we know, the cures of, the technology, all of this, it goes hand in hand, really. The deception is all around it. The realm we live in, the sciences, the laws, the fundamentals of all aspects of life have been given to us.
Do you know what's really crazy as well? On places like this, these things, there is no law that protects us being on Google, being on media. There is no law to protect us.
What? Hang on.
Please will not get involved in YouTube or anything like that.
Well, where are you getting this from? Can you explain that? What are you basing this on? What have you referencing? I believe you. I'm interested.
I'd rather sort of say it off air because it's kind of past, but an incident happened.
All right. Yeah,
And
yeah, all right.
I'll explain it off. Because,
Can I just say before you continue? I've got to get up early tomorrow. Got a long day, so I just want to say I'm going to go.
Hurry up.
Need to go sleep.
Richard, hurry up. TikTok.
Yeah. But thanks for this evening. It's been a pleasure as always. And I'll have to listen to the start of it, what I missed tomorrow. But peace. I'm out of here, and I hope you continue in your good vein. So it's good night from me, people, and hello to everyone in the chat room, and adios. Good night.
Peace and love, Astro. We love you, Astro.
Peace and love, brother. Good night.
Yeah.
Ciao, bello.
Yeah. Good night.
Fist bumps.
Good night, my darling. Yeah, because he's an hour ahead of us, so it's an hour ahead. So yeah, I'll just say that the police will not get involved with anything to do with media. There's no law to protect us when we're on media.
There's got to be. I'm trying to think now. International laws, or you'll find out in your chat room. They'll be quick to put that up, like the laws. There's got to be something there. The international data protection, international agreements, unilateral agreements. You've still got slander, defamation of character, and if you commit kind of crimes on the media,
you have to do that personally. Defamation of character is something that you have to deal with yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about it off air. Yeah, and I'll have a look at that. How's he getting on, Lado?
Yeah. Richard, how are you doing?
We're on the 3-hour mark.
Well, yeah, we've been on air for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, because we went on a little bit late, didn't we?
Oh, yes.
Maybe go on for just a little bit longer, because obviously it is coming, it's getting on for midnight for us. All you lucky Americans, and I mean, like, Trouble's up. It's the next day for her. It's probably quite early for her, but it's other times. But it's getting to midnight here in the UK. But Richard, is there any way you could tell us what it is that you're making? Everybody's intrigued now. He's smiling. You're going to tell us what you're making?
It's just a little Tesla tower, really. I'm so I'm about 10 minutes away from doing it.
Oh, that's all right then. We can hold. Well, can we read some comments out from the chat room? Why don't you read some comments? Yeah, and you read the comments out, Darren.
Yeah.
If you want, or something.
Yeah, we have James in the chat room. James is from New Zealand. He comes on Sun and Moon sometimes. And what it is that he believes that they've set anxiety and stress and all those things up to make money out of us. And of course, he's very articulate with the words he uses, because obviously they use the words, but they've made sure that they set anxiety up on purpose to make money out of us.
Can I be rude and say, yes, respect. There was a guy called Joseph Goebbels. I believe that I'm going off the top of my head, but Joseph Goebbels, just before the Second World War, they changed the frequency of the British Board of Music Classification on instruction from somewhere in Germany, not instruction, recommendation. I forget the name now. Joseph Goebbels, British Board of Music Classification, and they changed the solfeggio scale, which would be do re so fa la mi ti do or something. Is it do re mi so fa la ti do? And they changed those vibrational frequency ranges of hertz to a different Hertzian, hertz, HRTZ or HERTZ, Hertzian scale, and each note vibrates at an octave, and this octave is harmonious to our body to hear. When they changed it, it then made it so when we hear music and frequencies, our ears phonetically picked up, and you know about the phonetics and the deepness of that. We've talked about that several times over the chats we've had. The music then, the scales and the solfeggio scale after hashing by the the ones at hand, the estate, the establishment, and you can look into the story of where it all comes from yourself. They did that, and then they started playing music.
It's what Hitler did or something, didn't he? Didn't he change?
Well, you've got that's Russian mind control ultra, but yeah, you've got experiments in mind control in general that all the states have looked into, the Cold Wars and certain things afterwards with agencies. But yeah, Hitler was Germany, we'll say the Reich, and certain technologies what they were experimenting in. I will not go off track here with the UFOs and technology of which has been claimed and the paper clips and projects he had going on, but he knew that the vibrational, there was a key to the human psyche, and to secretly attack it through, because he knew about vibration, you know about love and vibration and frequency and harmonics and solfeggio and the 808 love frequency, stuff like that, and they knew it, so they used it against us back then. Yeah, so that comment that you just read out was very, very insightful. Yeah, it was quite true,
because we're high frequency beings, aren't we, anyway?
Yeah, we are. Allegedly. I'm very hyper, more hyper than high.
Oh no, you're lovely, David. It's been a pleasure having you and meeting you, and that's thanks to Richard.
It is indeed.
He said, "You've got to get this guy on Sun and Moon." That's what he's saying to me. You've got to get him on Sun and Moon. He's brilliant.
Oh, bless him. Thank you.
And it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much, Richard, and thank you so much, David, on that score. Just saying hello to a few people in the chat room who are coming in right now. As we're waiting for Richard to finish his little Tesla tower, is there any, like I say, as we're here and we've got someone who can help, is there any questions for David? Anything anybody can help he can help you with?
I'll try.
James is going because he's in the chat room. James, the person from New Zealand. Whatever you think about control is the way. Sorry, it is the way of that courage, acknowledge anxiety. That is the control. All they do is replicate the function of anxiety. But they do, don't they? I mean, everything is set up for anxiety. I mean, just like you say, you turn the television on, Jeremy Kyle, the adverts, the news, the programs, even the supposedly, what do you call them? Things like Big Brother and all that. They're just all...
Yeah,
I love you too, James. I love you too, James.
My camera's falling off.
He comes on sometimes.
Go on, Karen.
Sorry?
No, carry on. Sorry.
I just take off. Well, thanks, and I love you, Karen. And I was going, I love him back. He comes on our channel sometimes, and maybe he's someone you'd like to talk to as well, because he's got a massive information. James would like to take it politically and try and go politically about this, you know, and start off another way. But he comes from New Zealand.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a good option politically, yeah, but then you've got your constraints. You got to think about how you're gonna. Yeah, you could do that. We've had talk of that over here, like to get a new political party and this, that, the other. But we've seen that the two wings of the bird. You know, there's a left and a right. There's a blue and a red, and so forth and so on. But no, each to their own. Everybody's got. You can't push one idea above another. We've all got to try our own ideas, and whichever one gets through, then great, somebody gets through and we get there. It doesn't matter who, as long as it's somebody does at some point. That's what we're after. I believe.
Well, all of us here want things to change. We want a change. It's horrible. Like I said, I went to this garage, and even that guy, the way that everything is set up now, nothing is nice anymore, and it is like we're living in an open air prison. I mean, do you think that through this technology, like iPhones and stuff like that, things have got worse? Because it's just got this last sort of, I don't know if it's this side of the millennium, whatever it is, things are just diabolical.
Yes, I would. Yeah, they have got worse. Just my cameras fell off the stand, so I just got to refix it. we've seen it since the 50s. Look how much technology has increased since the 50s. Go and look at like technology in 1950. We're now in 2018. So that was, 2018, 1950. Come on, help me out there. 68 years. And look what's happened and what's transpired and where we're at. And we're still slaves doing mundane jobs. We haven't got the pursuit of happiness. We haven't got any kind of abilities as such. We haven't got the intelligence that we believe we have. And we're now debt slaves, we're sweat equity slaves. We don't know how we've been enslaved or who's enslaved us or how, but we have got some kind of masters and a job to do. And if we don't do that job and don't pay X amount of pounds out every month as is required, then you're going to find out. Or if you run out of paper notes, promissory notes and stuff like that, you run out of that, then how are you going to survive? What alternative have you got for your method of survival for you and your offspring, your property? If you haven't got a backup or you haven't got a reserve and you need to go cap in hand to the state, how would you go cap in hand to the state? How would you say, please, I need some help, and do it without having to? You may have worked 50 years and paid in, I don't know, into your national insurance over 100 grand in tax. And it turns out now that you're a little bit hard up. And it's the time has come to go and ask the government for a little bit of support whilst you get back on your feet. So you fill in all the documentation unbeknown to you. That's not you. They didn't tell you that. And you've agreed to take that on when you could have used. I'm not saying I've got the answer for this, but we can see how you can quickly get into a more safer, more secure, lose the fear, more powerful situation and improve your life drastically with a few tiny little moves, and a little bit of time taken out for you to invest in yourself. Yeah, don't watch the Jeremy Kyle and the EastEnders and the Coronation Street and the things, the series that they give you, because in them series you've got swearing and drugs and sex and violence and all of the stuff. The 7 sins are always in there, and all of the taboos. And I got programmed, you've got programmed, and when you wake up and you start to realize you don't deprogram yourself overnight. It's a good few years in the making. And if you've got children or property and offspring, then you owe it to protect them as well and to give them the correct education. And if you know there's something wrong, and most of your viewers do, then I believe that they won't have Alexas in the house, and they'll be very careful with the handsets and so forth and where they go and how they operate. And they're well knowledgeable. It's this is a consciousness. You've said it. It's a we know. Some of us are born and we know something's wrong. Just as a child, as a 5-year-old child, 7-year-old child, there's some amazing spirits that are coming into this existence, and we're getting backup. That's what we're getting. We're getting a lot of backup.
I was going to say something then. It's gone out of my it's gone out of my brain right now. How are you doing, Richard?
It's not happening.
Oh, we were looking forward to that. Do you think that maybe you can come back and show us another day when you've
Yeah, definitely. I've got a really useless soldering iron, and I reckon I've fried some of the parts, so I shall do it again.
All right, brother. It's trying. It's a taking part that counts, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've done it at live shows, and I've done it. Imagine, I've done it. DJs have been DJing abroad, and laptop shuts off, nightclubs in silence. What? Yeah, quickly. Look, you have a CD ready to go in another deck, but first time that happened to me, brother, I learned that lesson. About a good 5 minutes, no music in, you know what I mean? DJs and everyone shouting at you, laughing at you. Boo! Come on, DJ. Oh, wow. It happens, brother.
David, can I ask you something? Have you received anything horrible because of what you're doing? Like obviously the way that they set the law and everything out, they won't like people like you. Have you had any trouble, any problems because of what you're doing? Asking.
Yeah, you get it. You can imagine, can't you? I get threats and intimidation. I get the trolls and shills. I get part of the monthly 500 comments and plus that I get on the videos. Now I've done a lot of videos. It's not that I'm particularly popular. It's when you put 120 plus videos on across lawful and legal subjects, you get a lot of notifications pop in. So you get the negativity, you get the ones like with the hydrogen technology, because that's new and cutting edge, getting on about water and technology from that and what I'm doing wrong and how I'm an idiot, and the legal side of it with regards to the publication of my face and what I do. Like, somebody came into the Facebook trust and they wanted to join, and we have 3 set questions or some questions that you need to ask to help us decide, whilst we're looking at your profile and doing other searches, you know, that if you to come in and be admitted into the family and the trust. And yeah, somebody said that they found the group by watching a video and using the screenshot function on your phone when you're watching the video, and then they use that screenshot and put it into an app called Face Search. This is one of about 10 of them, and you put that JPEG of my face from the video in there, or whoever it is, and you press submit, and it goes online and tells you who you are. It finds out everything about, a lot about you connected to that profile picture or that screenshot. It'll find all profile pictures and accounts on Facebook, Twitter, Tinder.
Oh my goodness.
Everywhere. It will get the lot. And then they come to my group going, oh, I found you using from YouTube on FaceTime, and they'll go to YouTube, watch a video, take the picture, screenshot it, put it in that app. That app does the search, metadata. So yeah, that's quite apt. I remember that at this point in time. But so they find me, you get emails, and I just now a different guy, because I said a sacred contract, so I believe I have an element of protection, such protection that you could not buy, bigger than Big Barry's, any Big Barry. And it's it's a part of life where you get that, and I just brush it off. If it ever gets to something what I would take really seriously and really genuinely fear for my life, then I would stop it.
It's crazy all this, isn't it? Because it's not like you. I bet you hardly anybody in the chat room do we ever go to a Globe site or any of these other sites and troll them.
Yeah.
What a waste of time.
Yeah, messages. You see that? What one saving grace than one a week? You'd expect one a week, really, one a month. No, probably out of 18 months, 5 calls that have been like rubbish and nasty and stuff. But you just
I put a video out on Sun and Moon where actually the military are using sock accounts. They kind of look real, and they're in there trolling and being paid to do it.
Yeah, we've got guys from Welcome Finance, and we're aware that Welcome Finance watch our groups, and other groups, Beat the Bailiffs, the Love Police, or the Council Tax My Arse and parking ticket groups. So all the Freedom, Lawful Rebellion, Common Law groups that are out there, and external websites, they have infiltration of these agents, and they'll sit there and they'll watch. And when we come up with remedies and we publicly advertise them and we promote them for free, they go scurrying off. And then they go telling the Grand Masters in the Masonic lodges and that what we're doing, how we're doing it. Obviously, the Grand Masters in the judicial services and the courthouses as well are Grand Masters. They're not, they're everywhere. And we have to be careful on how we actually, and what we say, we've learned now not to give everything away, and to do it in private, in person, through orthodox ways, non-orthodox ways, should I say, not so, visible. So we are winning, but they are watching us as well, and they are hanging about. We are extra vigilant. We don't tell anyone what to do. We are allowed to speak out in the freedom of speech. We are having successes and winning in courts and getting clamps and PCNs dealt with. So it's not something, if anything, the establishment should be saying, oh, finally, it was only 350 years, Winston, since the Sestu KV 1666, and here we are in 2018, and this man, Giaramita, thinks he knows it. What? Equity is only 300 years behind, but nevertheless, we'll let them do it now. We've had our run. We've milked them dry. It's like, wow, we are going to get there, but we are so far behind. It's embarrassing.
I think it's quite embarrassing what we're living in, to be honest.
Yeah, and where we are, yeah, as well. Yeah, agreed, sister. Yeah,
I think that we're civilized.
I know. It's
And you know,
yeah.
like the one thing I think I've also like seen is that they keep telling us about the animals or how the animal, this animal. We are also treated exactly the same. We're just eating some of the animals, but we're still treated the same as the animals.
Oh, you've just made me remember something. Someone in Sheffield said they said that's why in the what is it now in the Talmud. In the Talmud, it references the Jew and the Gentile. Again, I'll be very careful, but I've got experience. I can handle it and control it well. I'm not going to get done for anti-Semitic remarks, but and bring the channel and family into disrepute. But if you know about the Talmud and you know about the Torah, in one of the books is like the Old Testament. That would be the Torah. The Talmud, I mentioned before, is about the Jews and the type of Jews that follow that book, the ones that are dedicated to it. And it mentions the Jews and the Gentiles in there, and it says that the Gentile is really disgusting, is lower than the Jew, is like next to an animal. It lives in its own mess. It deserves no respect. It's there for the Jew to take advantage of. It's got rules about certain things to do with families and children. It's really a harsh book. So yeah, you have a look at that and see how it depicts us. And then when you see what's on TV, having it large in Ibiza, Celebrity Love Island, Jeremy Kyle, wife swap, can't pay, we're taking it away. It's an embarrassment state what we're in, and how how we're living and how little respect we've got. How there's 50 stabbings in London, and we're in April. What is it? I've got to check. April the 12th. Yeah. And now of 2018, and there's been 48 stabbings in London, and we're in 4 months into the new year. It's just a joke where we're at, and they're quite rightly to laugh at us in some ways and go, see, they're animals, they're filthy, they deserve it, they just get drunk, fight, have sex, rob each other. Who are we really worth? Not all of us on this channel, but as a nation, it's and as a global community, we've got a lot of work to do.
We do. We need to start again.
I know, it's a big job, isn't it, sis? It's a big job.
We need to fire NASA or bring them to court. We need to get rid of all these politicians and liars. It's all like Dynasty in Dallas. It's all a joke because everybody that's got the heart facilities are all in it together. So that means Russia and America are in it together, pretending that they're going to go to war and all these things are happening, frightening everybody. But there's no way they can fight. They've all got this heart thing. You can't turn it off. They use it for the military. They use it to play above our heads. Oh, it's just, it's disgusting. I think everybody's so looking for some kind of change.
Yeah, feeling it. We can feel a change is coming, a new world order is coming, but which one is it going to be? Is it going to be the one that they want? And is it going to be with the chip and RFI and we're all going to be zombies and monitored and tracked and traced? Or is it going to be our one? Is it going to be man's new world order, or the establishment's new world order? There is something coming. They've mentioned it time and time again since Bush in the 80s, the Bush dynasties and stuff. They keep forcing it. They keep repeating it. The Pope said it. Pope Francis has said it. There is a change. We're in a fourth industrial revolution, as I see it, as a lot of us see it. The indigo, the light workers, they're here. There's the crystal, the rainbow that are getting born awake now. There's a fantastic amount of movement. We've got more and more people turning into brothers and sisters, turning into real life boys, turning from the wooden straw man into the flesh and blood private man. They're claiming a dominion. They're holding their own. They're saying no to Big Barry. They're coming on the channel. They're interacting. They're putting on comments. They're coming onto the .com. We've got the sharing videos and making their own videos. They go. There's a lot happening. It is encouraging to see. It's not game over yet.
Hopefully, but we're almost at somewhere where we almost can't come back. That's how I feel. Lie so much about everything. Everything is a lie. Our history. That's the sad thing, is we can't even go back over our history because they keep Mandelaing it and changing it. Like now, every day they're changing it, the past. And there's just no way we can even get back and even know who the pyramid people were. Who were they? and why have they gone? You know.
Yeah, we talked about that with Dojo. That was awesome. That was a good chat. That was really deep, and yeah, to extrapolate those kind of time zones, and yeah, millions of years have gone past, eons have gone past, you know, and yeah, it'd be nice to, yeah, it really would. It's a crime against humanity,
It
though.
would be nice
To
to
know.
say, wouldn't it? That, you know, like everybody's saying, well, you know, in those days, Atlantis and everybody, when everything was different then. I mean, we don't necessarily have any proof it was different then, but I am hoping that the time is now, and this spiritual coming together, consciousness, it's happening now. It's now. It's never happened before. It's happening now. That's what I'm hoping.
Richard, it's happening now, Richard. Now, Richard, it's happening now. Did you hear her? There's a clue going off here. Now.
The only time is now.
Sorry. Sorry, brother. Go on,
I mean, you know, all this stuff about pointing everything up at the stars and pretending we've been space, we could have sorted all this out by actually from here. We didn't need to pretend we'd been to space and all that crap. We could have sorted it all out here.
I'm just logging on. You might look momentarily.
Oh.
Yeah. There we go. I'm on the mobile. Swapped over. Bum shanker.
Yeah, sometimes you hear it much better on the mobile, to be honest. If I go on my mobile,
yeah,
I usually do it on the after hangout. Everybody's perfect. There's no lagging. There's no nothing when you're on a mobile.
Yeah, but look, you can see the office now. I'll give you a little corner room shot. The office of.
Well, let me just hang on. Let me put the camera on you. Hang on. Just turning over. There you go.
Is it on? Yeah.
Operation.
I've got my the glass table. The family dinner table has been accosted. Yeah, I've got this half, the TV. I have the second screen on that laptop there, and this microphone's just for today, obviously. But my chair, the master's chair, director's chair, leather. It's nice to sit in that, and then just put the console on in the morning. My office in the corner, my little radio, you know, music, printer, all the essentials. It's the command hub. It's brilliant, honestly.
Much congratulations for what you've done. Do you want to just talk again about your website a little bit, David? Because obviously we have been going for 3 hours now, and I'm sure you're a bit tired. But do you want to just explain about your website again so that people understand what you're doing?
Yeah,
again,
it's ultimately, empowering. Thank you. Yeah, I will do, sister. And thank you. Yeah, we are a service of sorts where you would call it a trustee. We would be trustees. I am the settlor of the property. I'm going to give that to the trustees. I'm giving a website, a bank account, and a domain basically to the private beneficiaries that join up for the princely sum of a donation of £12 for the year. Annual beneficiary gets you on for the for the year there. That's the 25 pence a week it will equate to, and we would like to give you an education with regards to the legal construct, all the various laws. It is structured, you know, there are videos and courses and things there for you. There's forums, we've got video, we've got video courses for you to go have a look at. We've got tailored courses that will be coming out in the next few months for beginner 1-day courses for free. All the beginner 1-day courses are free because that's something you'll need. Then intermediate 3-day, advanced 5-day, to do with all areas of law, but the basic areas at first. We've got a resource-based library of which we'll aim to get 400 PDFs and documents and templates and articles and acts and bills, charters and treaties. It's going to be a one-stop shop for everything, but it's not so much a shop. It's a different way of us interacting. It's a different format. It's kind of going to enroll Facebook, YouTube, and a few other format platforms into one platform in a new, easy, digestible format. So it's a learning. It's a digital university, essentially. If you ask me what it is, it's not a service where we take on a appointeeship or we advise you with regards to your legal quandary. We would like to educate you and not school you, and you guys provide your own remedy through the learning curves of which you will go on depending on your ability when you come to us. So the property is bought and paid for by the funds that have already been risen from the Facebook domain, from the current beneficiaries of that. We're reinvesting that money instead of running off and stealing it or embezzling it. And there's not that much anyway, but either way, people have done worse with less. We protect that asset, the money, that's the website, and get that passed over in a declaration and documents to trustees. Then this website can never be taken, and it can never be sold. Neither can the bank account, and neither can the what would you call it, the tangible and the non-tangible work that's got into it, and the property, you see, because property is your you've got common law property, you've got intangible property, you've got trademark property. So your property is your work, your words, your feelings and your thoughts. So we've got a lot of stuff to protect, asset management, and also how you would interact with the legal construct, so drivers and travellers, officers and constables, judges and courts and clerks and bailiffs and debt collectors and anything like that. It's just general life, but with the law side of it expanded on. So if you do find yourself in a bind, we'll not turn you away. We'll direct you to the Facebook group, which is the private trust we've got based on a public domain. I know the irony in that, but that's why we've built the .com, so we can actually be the settlor. And once you understand what a settlor is and who the settlor is and what a trust is, and you want to reside in the private and be in honour with clean hands and deal in equitable matters in the private by default, and choose when you step out of the private and come into the public, and how you get them public liabilities afforded to you, the private man, or perhaps to the correct way, which would be to your legal person, the all caps. So this goes for bills, debts, debtor creditor, all of that kind of stuff. But we aren't experts in it. We need help. We're building it up. This is in its infantile stages. It's a brand new concept. It wasn't planned, and we're being quite reactive to it. But we're taking the experience, what we've got and what we've seen and what we've heard so far, and then we are researching it and applying it. And if it works, we tell you about it. And we're moving quite fast now, and we want to advertise then the fact that we are one family, we are one unity, and I want to get a guaranteed income for this trust, and I'd like to eventually find some large benefactors that would donate quite a bit to get out of a tax-free, to get their taxes down. Some companies and organizations and business tycoons have to give away a set amount of money in order to pay less taxes, and they do that to charities. So we could say our private, express private trust, someone could come along in a bit, or we could help somebody that's got a bit of cash, money, whatever you want to call it, funds and currency, and we could end up getting a bit of it, like several thousand, 50 grand, and that would be really good, because the trustees would assign the management of that. I wouldn't have control of it, and then that would invest again, and we could look at buying properties, get some actual secure land of our own, and move on like that, and start getting up these common unities that we're talking about, and look at setting up I don't know, a pioneering commune somewhere, and start and build out from that, live off the grid, live with free energy, live with organic vegetables, set out your rules as a settlor, claim your land, your title, your dominion, have wholesome food, get rid of the TV, the indoctrination and all that, and go back to not third world or, caveman, but just go back to something more simplistic, wholesome, realistic. So we've got a lot of plans. We've got big ideas. We're thinking big, and it's going to start with this .com. And it's got about 8 different functions to it that we've got to sort out now, which is your forums and your video and your files and your courses and the interaction there and the profile and the messaging. So we're growing, and we've got a lot of ideas. We need help. We need support. Anybody that is retired, that's got free time on their hands, that we're looking at obviously having agents on the site. That we're going to import them from Facebook, from the tried and tested community that we've got, so we can then leave those guys there happy as they are, give them the option to come across, and then redevelop in the private, away from all the trolls, the shills, the management, the data, the what goes off on Facebook itself. And you'll become a beneficiary of this secondary trust, The Facebook is a trust, but it's a different trust. It's just a Facebook trust. It's not really much, but it does well. This one is a proper, real private trust that's exclusively done in the private, managed and protected away. So that's it. I've sold it there. Thank you very much, sister. That's it. I don't want to say anymore because I'll scare you off.
No, I just think it's really nice that there's an alternative, and thank you to people like you for being able to help us, because that's what this is about, isn't it? What we've been put in.
Yeah. They don't know it. There's no alternative education other than the universities and academic schools. You see, they've been quite robust with that, how they've got rid of and all the other. There was independent schools and there was other things other than universities that we've got now, but they've been forced out over the time on purpose. So you see the mainstream, the lamestream media and the narrative has been dictated to by that over the years. So we're back now. The Guardians have awoken. And we're not having it, are we?
No.
We're not having it.
No. Obviously, thank you so much for talking, because you have been talking for quite a bit about this. But I'm so pleased because it's lovely having you on and you telling us all this stuff. And sometimes it is a bit of repeating, isn't it? But Richard, Patricia, Lev, is there anything you'd like to say? Because obviously we're going to go in a moment because we've been going for 3 hours. But is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that's about everything. Yeah.
Go on, Lev.
I'll go. No, I'm fine, Richard.
I think I've got lead poisoning from all this solder.
No, but Richard's quite into all this as well, aren't you, Richard? I mean, obviously you've been coming on Sun and Moon and talking about some of this stuff in the past.
Yeah, 100%. David knows what he's doing. He's got a lot to give, and I'd like to give some back at some point.
Oh,
Well, the connection you give us here is brilliant. The exposure there to get the information out. It's not about my face or the Facebook group or even the .com. It's about brothers and sisters and children, unborn property, offspring, presently children, and men and women as the misters wearing these masks. And it's every day I go outside, and so do the admins and the ones that are knowledgeable in this area. And we see what is happening and we hear, and we can't help everybody at the same time as much as you want to. You need to get this information out, but it's so complicated and so bewildering that you've really got a big job. So any way that we can get it out that's like this, and to get folk interested and to compare and contrast relatively easy situations to begin with in scenarios, then yeah, credit to us, because it's designed like this so we don't ever have a chance to either A, understand it, B, utilize it, and then C, let alone understand it, utilize it, and then teach it back out correctly. What? You're not supposed to do that.
sounds almost like you've turned into I'm sorry about these words, but sort of like a solicitor in a way.
Yeah.
You've gone sideways, David.
Just sign me. I've got Hangouts menus just come up. I don't know what's happened. Thought it just signed me out. I can't see the video
You're
or the screen.
there with your icons showing. Patricia, are you there? Patricia, or is Patricia? Patricia?
Got you.
She's been very quiet today.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello, my darling. What have you thought about tonight's talk?
Well, I'm always interested in it. This is where I get my little quotes on my percussion. Clear the fear and non-compliance. I just wanted to say that I, like other people, probably have debts and things, and people knock on my door, bailiffs, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? I just sit here and I think, right, I don't answer the door. I mean, I'm quite lucky. I've got like 2 doors to get through before they get to me. So I just ignore it, basically. But if ever there was a warrant out for my arrest, I'd be like, oh, you're going to send me to prison? Oh, great. Because to go to prison for me would be like a holiday. Karen knows my situation. I would love, I mean, not the stigma of being sent to prison, but I will be looked after. In my own home, the council have made me housebound. You know, I can't get the help that I really need. I just think, well, send me to prison, I'll get 3 meals a day. We watch as much telly as, well, not watch as much telly, but, you know what I mean? I would look forward to going to prison, to going to jail for a month or whatever it is would be for not paying my council tax.
But look at that. Can I just stop you there? Look what you're saying. You would love to go, not love to go, but you would see that there would be some respite by not having to worry about bills and council tax and feed food and stuff like that, because you'd be able to, you'd look at it as a kind of a respite in a way, because you'd feel safe. No one's coming for you anymore. You haven't got the responsibility and the pressure and all that, the legal side of it, like you're feeling now. So my mate in Sheffield, who I've known 25 years, has said the same thing 3 days ago. He goes, I don't care if they come for me, Dave. He goes, I'm not signing on. I'm not paying this bullshit, you know, bills and that. And they can come for me. He says, they can take my van. He says, and if I get locked up, he says, I'll actually be happy. And he said the same as what you've just said to me, love. So that's upsetting to me, because our family shouldn't ever want to give up the freedom like that and go somewhere. That just shows you what a mess we're in. No disrespect to you. I've got nothing but love and peace for you, and, you know, respect. My best friend is in the same situation as, or similar to where you may be. And I was like, no, I don't want them words coming out. You're not to say them words. But I fully understand, because of what, you know, this lad said to me 3 days ago. They need to pay for what they've done to us.
Yeah, and that goddamn council tax. For anybody that doesn't live in the UK, we have to pay a council tax on our properties. They're taking about it's £170 a week for the size of a month for the size of my house. But I mean, you imagine everybody is paying at least about £170 to £200 a month as a council tax. And on my bill, this great big bit for social care, for adult social care, and yet Patricia knows there isn't any. And actually, Newbury here has one of the worst social cares in this country. And I'm not into politics anymore or any of that kind of stuff, but years ago, the Labour Party actually wanted to take social services away from our council because it was that bad.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
It's
mental health is a big area that's got a deficit in. Mental health, drug and alcohol, that bit there's a big deficit there as well. And they're kind of modelling this on purpose. It's like a plan. They strip us away from our, you know, support and, you know, these things, that public access that we need. And then they privatise it all or make it private and less access and less restricted, higher waiting lists. And then by the time the brothers or sisters get the waiting time up 6 months a year, most of them have committed suicide. They haven't made it. And it's like, hang on a minute, the system's that slow that by the time your time comes up, your time has already come up and you're no longer on the planet. What? No, that's unforgivable. It is. It's unforgivable.
That's because they don't want people that aren't able to work to live. They don't want them living. They want them to die.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's horrible. Yeah.
I know.
I agree.
I mean, do you know what's happened as well? You know, or anybody in the UK knows, they have not. I mean, okay, maybe you can say the winter's been bad, but our roads are full of potholes. My car this week, today, tomorrow, is having those two rods, you know, the suspension rods put in. 2 of them have gone on my car because we're driving over so many potholes. It's breaking the suspension rods in the car. 2 of them.
I know it's
a bit of a shame they didn't spend the council tax money in the right way, then, isn't it? By sorting our roads out, and well, actually, you have car tax for that. Well, actually, UK is just one great big tax. They tax you when you with your money, then you put it in a savings account, and then they tax you again to take it out. How can that be? And
then you die and leave it your relatives, and they tax it again. What? Triple tax.
Yeah, on that one, what you have to do is on your like will, you have to look like you've given away this stuff 10 years before.
A gift.
And
Yeah,
they
a
can't
gift
do
is what
anything
you
about
do. No, it's not you look like, it's you actually do it. You give it away as a gift, yeah, and that's the way around it. You're right.
Or you just keep all your money under the mattress.
Hey, you do, yeah, but you don't want a house fire. That's the only thing. Put it in a tin, and you do that. Get it well wrapped up and protected.
Yeah, I mean, Patricia and I were talking about this. We all pay into these policies, you know, like building insurance, well, household insurance. And in a sense, if you probably saved all that money up that you put into those things, you probably have enough money if anybody did try and take things off of you. We're paying all this out all the time to these companies who are making millions out of you. And is it true as well? Like, you probably know this. When you take a mortgage out, the mortgage companies also take life cover out on you, and when you die, they cash in on that as well.
They could do, yeah, they could do that because you're, yeah, that's that. I've heard rumours about that. Other than you creating the money by your signature, the money's not in existence. They indemnify the mortgage by because you've given them, you've loaned them the money, then they loan it you back without your knowledge. So therefore there's SPVs involved. If you default on the mortgage repayments of the money that you created that didn't exist until you signed, or you and your wife signed, you and your partner, both settlors signed it, then you don't keep up with the repayments and you default. They take back in America, they call it a foreclosure and the real estate and the land seize, and then they have the loan, the mortgage is insured, so they get paid out with the insurance on the mortgage. They foreclose and take the real estate, or in England it's just repossession, isn't it? They repossess the house. The mortgage is paid off via an insurance, and then you get Big Barry chasing you for a fee as well afterwards when you've done all the dirty bits of sorting it out and managing the estate. So don't forget, the money never existed until you signed for it. So it's absolutely horrible what's going off. I'm not going to get into that now, but we've got the monetary mechanic side of it sewn up basically, and we can stand there definitively and say what money is, what currency is, what intrinsic value is, what the pound note is, what the everything like that, and it's almost coming to full circle. I'm saying, guys, I know for you lot it may seem a little bit far out and weird and foreign concept, but Harvey Dent, he's the one that, if anybody knows Harvey Dent, he helped me out a lot with that. Steve McRae and what he said about estates and things, Santos, Richard Ansar at the end of the line. Richard clarified the muddy waters for us, and we're all like, now we see it. So it's not long coming. There are others you can go to, and you're free to go and check and see about. Richard will know that we're posting SPLs on Facebook. We share a lot of stuff that isn't from us that we find and that we come across, and it's a good other source of somewhere to go and learn. So yeah, don't worry, guys, we'll get there as a team. Most of your guys are halfway there already. Just by being awake and knowledgeable, you're halfway there.
Yeah, and thank you for explaining a bit more. So I hope some people in the chat room have got better ideas about how to help themselves, or if not, go to David's website. Do you want to just put it in the chat? Can you put it in the chat room again, or are you on your mobile?
I'm on the mobile, but did the comments stay up afterwards? No?
Yeah.
Do they stay up? Yeah, they do. Yeah, you've got the option to stay on. Yeah, I'll stick it in at the end, and now I don't mind. I can
they probably told us they were doing it, but they suddenly realised one day, why is there the chat still there? And it's a function now they put in. But I was a bit concerned because it shows everybody, but I've left them up there. People can see the chats as they go along with the Hangout. But I think you can still add it on a mobile phone.
Yeah. Well, I've got the sausage fingers. It doesn't work.
So David's just going to put it in the chat room so everybody can go to his website, and things he's been talking about today will be on there.
Yeah, you can sign up, you get access to the Facebook one as well. I don't know if I can put that in here because it's you have to go on Facebook and you'll have to search move microphone, it's not plugged in. You'll have to search Sovereign Paralegals and you find a private group, with a purple. It's the same as a .com website, so you'll find us there. If you're a bit unsure about the .com and what's going on, then you can come to the Facebook with no, you've got no commitment. You can leave whenever you want. You come in and find us, have a chat, and then we can talk a bit more in depth about anything specific. If you're in a different country and you've got penal code issues, or Australia, we talk to a lot now, New Zealand, America, for obvious reasons. And we'll have a chat, and we can speak longer in private. We have Skype. You can add sovereign advice on Skype, and that will bring you to the laptop that I've got the Skype account on here for sovereign advice, which is connected to the trust. So we have the Hangouts option. Thank you, Karen, sister. Oh, big love for that. Getting our first Google Hangouts going. That was down to you. That was telephone. She's taught me through on the telephone remotely how to do my first Google Hangout. So we'll invite on to some of ours once we get to up to speed with it.
Yeah, I'll come on, and I'll be there. But it's a pleasure. There. Well, that's a good bit that I've helped you a little bit.
Yes, my love. Yeah, it's a circle of life, as they said to Simba. We'll turn full circle. Don't worry about that.
And the really nice thing is just listening to you. None of this ego stuff. It's great.
No, it's a sacred contract. I've gone past that. I did that when DJing. You see, I've got that out of my system already. I wanted to be up there in a club, couple of thousand people, ice cannons, smoke, lasers, crazy times, and I did it. And I was like, when I was there, I was like, this isn't what I thought it would be. And it was very, very hard to get there. It had got there when I was 30 something. I started it when I was 19. So it took over 10 years to get to where I got there. Perhaps that's why, because it took so long and there was that many people doing it for beer and for free. And, it's quickly turned into like from the 90s, from acid rave and Technics and Dreamscape, Fantasia, Helter Skelter, Carl Cox, Sasha, Pill, all the guys. See, I'm old school. Like, they were using vinyls then, and some of them on 4 decks. Eclipse in Coventry. I went from that awesomeness, and as I was in the middle of it, everyone came out with these laptops and bloody programs and were like, yeah, I can DJ. I'm like, what do you mean you can DJ? Let me see. That's not DJing. And then it became very, very competitive. The money dropped out of it. Records stopped getting produced. Everybody started turning up with USB sticks, like with 6,000 records on each one. And I've got like my 2 boxes, and I'm like, I'm just not winning here at all. So I got there, I persevered, and now this one that we're on here, this is coming so much easier than the DJing side. It's almost like it's coming on a plate. Guardians and Lightworkers and Indigos and that are coming out of the everywhere, every which way, and presenting themselves and offering to help and actually holding up to the promise. And yeah, it's amazing how quick and fast and easy this is. Well, I've done more in these 3 years in the law movement than I ever did in trying to be a David Giaramita, of the new age. So yeah, we give thanks for that.
You're a very clever man as well. You're a very clever man.
I'm not, though. I'm not. I'm just able to keep a bit in my head of which others have enlightened me to or directed me to. And because I've practiced like helping for the last 2 years, you can imagine if you don't use it, you lose it. And if you're practicing it a lot for 2 years, every other day, the language, the structure, the systems, the public, the civil, the criminal, the private, and then the canons, the ecclesiastical, and all these other bits, after a bit, it does stick in. So by me being not sacrificial, by me sacrificing some of the family time, my private time, not sacrificial, sacrificing, I've then sacrificed and less off. But what I've gained all this. So I'm eternally grateful for that. From my admins, from the members, from the beneficiaries, from all the men and women that have said, David, I'm sorry to bother you, but can you please look? Oh yeah, I'll do it. If I can, I will. And once we've done it, you guys get help. I get learned. I'm a learned friend, a learned brother. My learned sisters is what you will be soon.
Oh, thank you so much for putting your time into this then. Your wife obviously supports you all the way, so that's amazing in itself.
She's a fiance, wife to be, and yeah, Anna Maria. She hardly sees me at the minute, but I did promise her once we've settled down and I've got the site sorted. The seminar on the 31st in Birmingham was good. That went down well. Got that out of the way. Once this last bit of paperwork and stuff is done, everything, the property and that's done, and we're home safe. Basically, it can't be touched. It's done. It's in the hands of the trustees. The trustees will be getting photos. Then they've agreed to this. When they take the trustee roll on, that'll be put on one of the pages. It'll all be outlined who your trustees are, what the property is, the bank account and so forth will be outlaid, and we'll manage it effectively. And essentially what the government should have done for us all these years is what we'll be doing. Yeah.
Wow. On behalf of all of us, thank you so much.
And there are others. Thank you, sister. There are others, such as the Bernician man, or Benicia, Michael of Benicia, I think, on YouTube. That's about in 2012 did a sovereign. I still haven't emailed him or anything, Rich. I need to catch up with this. I'm so behind, but I've still got his name. Yeah, what he did in 2012 was awesome. That was truly awesome.
Yeah.
Can I just say another thing? Because obviously we're going to end in a minute. Patricia, I love you. I'm so sorry. Much love to Patricia, who's stuck in her house.
I love you, Patricia. I've never seen you, but I'll say it too. I love you, sister.
Thank you. I love you too. And I love you, Richard and Karen and Lev and everyone in the chat room. I love you all.
Love you, Pat.
Yeah, thank you to Astral, who's not here. And thank you, Richard. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Lev. And thank you, David Guest.
Yeah, no.
Just to let you know, I don't know whether you're interested, David, but we do have Mr. Rich Thrive and Survive on tomorrow night's show. So I don't know if you just want to pop on for a little bit. Pardon?
Who's this?
Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive, peopleforpeople.life.
Yeah,
He's coming on tomorrow night.
What are we on now? Yeah. I'll come on
Maybe
for a
you'd
bit.
like to join us.
Yeah, I don't mind. Thank you.
I will add you tomorrow. Anyway, it's been a really great evening, and I'm so glad I like you. And thank you to everybody in the chat room. Thank you to everybody that's going to watch this. Thank you to everybody on the panel. We're back tomorrow. So good morning, good evening, good night, whichever way round it is from us. And we'll see you tomorrow. Big love to everybody. Mwah! Good night, everybody.
Good night. Ciao, bello. Hasta mañana.